Hello, Okay. Well, that's a way to start it off. Uh, Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good Sunday morning. Welcome to Proving Grounds 31. I'm Fusion, joined by Saf.
Good morning,
We're still waking up.
Fusion. Yeah, good morning.
I'm
It
still
is.
waking up, and I'm projecting.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. over here in the Pacific Northwest for us, so a little early on a Sunday, a little sleepy for a Sunday. However, we're up. Who up proving they ground? Am I right? I mean, for the 31st time. For the 31st time, we're proving our grounds this morning. And look,
Proving they ground.
who up? Pull up. Who up? Anyways, happy to be here. And with Rice on the production. So hi, Rice. Waving at you over at the production desk over there. Secret Elixir versus asynchronous randoms. Fusion. Two teams not unfamiliar to proving grounds. Secret Elixir getting banned from Low Ink without even winning Low Ink. Considering they almost had a really good run in proving grounds and got really, really far and instantly got them banned. And so they've been up in the mid-level, higher level scene for a little bit here. Or I guess mid-level. I don't know. I can't even tell the line anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Secret Elixir has certainly been doing a lot of work recently, but on the other side, definitely no slouches either. I'm not entirely sure which Rose this is, but I know Bouncy, Kenta, and Ori are all strong players as well. We're going to be starting things off on Tower Ship Shape for our first map of the day, and better hope it's not over in an instant, because this can get a little bit snowbally if you're not too careful about it.
Very true. And also we do have, for people back at home that maybe are unaware, we do have a little bit of change in the rules. I believe we have some bans this time around that are being experimented with. So I believe you can only have one Zuka per team. There is no pencil usage whatsoever. And I think there's one more thing that I can't remember, but those are the top two in my brain at this moment that are being tested through this. So you have to be very cautious about what you're playing, because there's a couple things that you can't play and you have to kind of work around. And you have to be aware of if the other team is going to kind of, bend those rules a little bit. And you have to decide if you want to play that all the way through, or if you want to say, hey, you know what? That's illegal. Let's restart. Let's try again. So kind of interesting, pretty new kind of free flow way to do it. And I feel maybe the players have a bit of autonomy of how they want to proceed forward with it. And like, if they want to play against something that's illegal.
Yeah, I think that certainly going to make a big impact. It's definitely going to affect kind of what people play. We've been seeing, we saw a decent variety like at Worlds, but if you don't run pencil, that kind of opens up a lot of other options. We tend to see some like heavy edit. We see a lot of slosher coming out as well. You might even see like ballpoint or something from Secret Elixir. I'm not entirely sure what they've been playing recently or what they would play in this situation, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on here. Bubble actually has been pretty popular recently, so I would not be surprised if we see one or even one from each team coming out here. But here we go, hopping right in to ship-shaped tower control. We do indeed have a bubble on the Vanilla Blaster, and actually that Rapid Pro Deco coming out from Kurda on the side of Secret Elixir. A lot of interesting stuff at the first few moments of the game.
I miss her on Secret Elixir. I just blinked and saw that name and I was like, oh man, I should call her. Anyway, Secret Elixir has a really strong opening here. They already have a very strong presence in mid. The cooler has been popped and is taking no time at all to be useful here for Secret Elixir, going down in a bit of a trade scenario. However, asynchronous randoms have a cooler of their own. But with a Tri-Zuka coming out, taking two of your members out with the strikes to follow up to push them back. I mean, Secret Elixir once again coming in strong here. They're wasting no time to try to make up some ground.
Yeah, the strikes come out. That's going to slow the tower a bit, but that ZF charger is going to get taken out. Really strong start from Secret Elixir. They're going to grab that first check unless the Zuka provides a miracle. It does not. And now just so much presence on the map. The Zuka's coming out. We see both the Slosher and the Shop moving forward. Over on that right side, the tower is just going to coast on forward already towards the final checkpoint. 2 members of Secret Elixir go down, but nonetheless, Cactus trying to do some work. They find 1 pick, but asynchronous randoms going to get back on their feet and get things rolling.
Yeah, and you gotta appreciate Ori just immediately taking position on this left-hand side and popping that bubble, no less. Look at those 3 people on Secret Elixir. They're just trying to move forward there, but they see that this position has been taken. But however, with the Killer Whale coming out and the Tri-Strikes as well, Jarence, you can see, and Kurta are going to be able to push up there through the mid-section, even though Asynchronous Randoms still has 3 members online standing around the tower there. You can see Secret Elixir still wasting no time to push forward. They're not going to hesitate or be afraid, and they're especially not letting Roberta with that charger really deter them from anything.
Yeah, certainly not. They've been doing just a very nice job kind of swarming around and teaming up on members in mid, which is what their chip composition is going to help them do. Cactus pushing forward, taking advantage of that. Very nice work. That's 2 members down on the side of Asynchronous Randoms. Now Ori in this pit in a decent position, but kind of outnumbered. They're going to be forced to back out. Rose kind of in no man's land there. They're going to get taken out as well. And now it's really just Roberta on the charger who's in the way for Secret Elixir. But the bubble does end up coming out from Ori here, and that's going to force Secret Elixir to slow down just for the time being.
Yeah, but I mean, Secret Elixir is at a halt, but they keep taking these top positions so quickly. Asynchronous Randoms can't seem to find to re-enter once again with Bounce.
3 members down yet again. Huge penalty for Asynchronous Randoms, but they're whittling it down very quickly.
Yeah, but Secret Elixir's got to do something here to try to break back in, and you can see with the tracking as well, with those point sensors, that's not going to be any better, especially with Roberta so far pushed up here and having the range on their side to help out. But the Inkjet, this is going to be the re-entry tool they need, and the Trizuka is going to help with that. As 3 members go down, they are going to return the favor here as Secret Elixir now breaking back into the middle section here. Oh my goodness, and you gotta appreciate the follow-up there from Kurta to help Cactus in the fight.
Yeah, they were able to really just follow up on each other and take the enemy bot before all of those jumps from Cooler came back in. So now Secret Elixir in control of the zone, but the Tri-Slosher is actually going to be able to find a pick on the charger. That's big. That's gonna mean no strikes. iMixer moving up into that top left into such a commanding position. If they're able to get that Inkjet, this could be curtains. There's almost no penalty left. Here's that Inkjet. That's going to be Asynchronous Randoms locked into spawn. The Zuka doesn't find a pick. Instead, it's the Inkjet that finds one. The timer is ticking. The members of Asynchronous Randoms are going to have to run for the zone. The Zuka finds 1 pick. That's going to be the lead. The Splashdown runs for the zone, but there's no chance in heck this blaster is going to paint it. And now Secret Elixir bounces back. It is a 1-to-1 set.
Oh my gosh, the Trizuka cancellation at the end there, that was huge. That was major. I mean, it was activated before and like down before it even could do damage. So that was pretty amazing, and I really think that could have been a crucial opening for the randoms to bust back in. So really well played by Secret Elixir and locked down, and I miss her in a great position to really make this achievable. I mean, going as far back as they can but still being so close to the spawning area at the same time. And especially when you have eyes on all 4 members, that's got to feel really good for Secret Elixir here to be pushing forward and just knowing like, hey, there is no threat to be had here. We can win this.
Yeah, absolutely. Just them just being super aggressive and taking all of that space makes it that much harder for the Asynchronous Randoms to get back towards the zone and really take advantage of their specials, because that pick the Tri-Slosher got on the charger was the Ink Strikes, which could potentially flip the zone, so they really needed to like rush with their bodies to get forward. And we are going to Rainmaker Hammerhead Bridge, I guess. Never mind. Rainmaker Humpback Pump Track. That makes a little bit more sense.
Does it?
I think it does. I'm a
You
humpback pump track enjoyer.
we could have had it all on Hammerhead Bridge.
We could have.
All right. Rainmaker Humpback Pump Track. So very, very interesting choke points here to deal with. I appreciate that Secret Elixir has been running with an inkjet and using that Rapid Pro, because I think that is going to be beneficial here. And I do think that playing that bucket and keeping that with I Miss Her could be really helpful here as well. But I mean, you never know what people are going to do, but you're going to see that Rose is going to pick out the bucket of their own. So we have a bucket versus bucket. And yes, the Rapid Pro is going to stay for Secret Elixir. I think this is going to be a really good comp here. This makes so much sense to me for them.
Yeah, and we actually see the VAC coming out on the other side from the asynchronous randoms, which we saw the, we saw the VAC coming out on the other side in the previous match, but on Rainmaker, it can certainly do a lot of damage. The Tri-Splasher looking for an early opening, trying to get that inkjet into time with the push over the right side. That's going to be a big pick onto the Charger. This looks like it's going to be a check for Secret Elixir. The Zuka does not find the pick from long distance. Instead, that is the checkpoint and multiple picks coming out from Secret Elixir, but nonetheless, asynchronous random still able to kind of bounce back and get a few picks on the members pushing aggressively. Yeah, here comes that back, trying to shut things down early, moving in with the blaster, trying to clear all of that space. That pushes Secret Elixir all the way back into mid. They grab the Rainmaker early, but there's no picks coming out with it. Instead, it's just going to be Rose diving that Rainmaker into that left side pit, and just be forced to stall it for as long as they can. Secret Elixir has all of the space in the world.
Yeah, and with the cooler coming out here, that's not going to be surely not wasted, because as soon as I Miss Her and Cactus went out, they're going to be back in immediately. But with Bounce, look at this. Bounce is going to be so bold here and go in for the double pick. And Kurta being actually protected by one of the members of Secret Elixir there. So she's in a good position to try to follow up here, and with Cactus using that Trizuka as well. I mean, like you were saying earlier, there's a lot of poking damage here for Secret Elixir. They're looking in to follow up on the right-hand corner here, as similarly to asynchronous randoms as they were trying to do. But, I mean, the checkpoint break is going to be really major here for them. They have a really good foothold here, but unfortunately for Jarens and Kurta, they aren't there to try to help out in the fight. So the pickup's going to be had by the randoms, and they're going to waste no time to try to push forward.
Yeah, and I feel like asynchronous randoms kind of needs to count themselves a little bit lucky that the lead they're kind of gunning for is really just past that checkpoint. Instead, the VAC's not going to be able to be used to grab the checkpoint. The blaster is going to find the pick on the Tri-Slosher, but there's so much in the way of chip damage and just bullets coming the way of that checkpoint. So really, asynchronous randoms needs to be super aggressive if they want to get that lead. Here's the miss onto the checkpoint. That's going to be checked for asynchronous randoms, but they're 3 down. It's just Rose running for her life right now, and they're going to be forced to back up all the way into that left-hand corner. But with that checkpoint out of the way, it's a lot easier to get those extra points on the board. They just need to gear up for defense, because any point really is a big deal here.
Oh, I got it. The Zuka versus Zuka fight in the corner. Unfortunately, Bounce was the victor there, so they are going to be taking full advantage of that 2-man down scenario. Rose going down in the process. Ori's going to try to follow up here and protect the Rainmaker pop from anybody coming from Secret Elixir. They're going to try to go in around the left-hand side. You can see 2 members trying to take the left on the flank, and Ori going to try to fight with Jarens here. I mean, Jarens, being the NZAP and being more in a supportive role, is still a super aggressive player, Fusion. They still will not hesitate and go in for the fight, even as an NZAP, and considering that NZAP has a lot of qualifications that Splattershot does these days, I mean, it's not too bad of an issue, I think, because Jarens has been such a good player and has played this game for so long.
Yeah, certainly Zap can get a lot of work done. Jarens is absolutely no slouch, but yeah, the Rainmaker moves over towards that right side. Well, nice trade coming out there from Roberta. So Still a very neutral game with just a 1-point situation. Secret Elixir needs to get some extra points on the board if they want to win this fight. Incredible stuff from Mr. canceling the splashdown and living the other fists as well. The Inkjet's going to be popped. Are they able to find anything? They are not, but they do find one on the landing. Here come the points. That's going to be the Rainmaker moving forward. The shot's going to lead the way. The back comes out, but this is a lot of points on the board for Secret Elixir. Excellent work. That's going to be a huge pressure, huge weight off their shoulders as they start to gear up for their final defense of the game. Now 30 seconds left. Asynchronous Randoms really needs to move forward, and I'm guessing they're going to be eyeing up a push with that Vaxaf.
Yeah, looking like it. Look at that. All right, we're back in the middle section. We have jumped back to a neutral position. Secret Elixir, though, wasting no time to try to follow up on that right-hand side there. And I miss her going to try to push forward and go in for the flank, but not finding contact, unfortunately. And so with two members of Secret Elixir down, I mean, Fusion, this is where we could see the points flip, right? Look at that opening done by the vacuum and the try splashdown. Just trying to get as much ink down as possible, building specials as quick as they can. They are trying to tick it down as quick as possible. They are going to jump to the right-hand side, just like Secret Elixir did earlier in the game, opting to go to that diagonal because that's at least 20 points just in that diagonal right-hand cut that they did. And they just made it one step further to take it to Secret Elixir in a 2-1.
Oh my gosh, what an incredible clutch. We saw actually the biggest nuisance at that corner there is going to be the Tri-Slosher, who is sitting up on the high ground. As long as they're able to rain those mists down and rain the paint down, it's almost impossible for asynchronous randoms to move forward. I believe you can see them in the top right up there. But they were able to take the Tri-Slosher out. I think it was Ori up there who was able to take it out, and that's what kind of cleared the way for the Rainmaker to move forward with those extra points. The splashdown actually doing quite a bit of work. You can't really stand anywhere near that, so the fact that it's able to kind of get off and force the entirety of Secret Elixir to move back really won the game for asynchronous randoms. And now that's 2 games that they were able to clutch in this set. They're going to be the victors 2-1, but that was close as could be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't really get much closer than that. And I would be shaking in my boots if I was Rose, because doing that dodge roll just at the right time to try to get through to those last couple of points, I mean, that's scary stuff. You got to be really confident that you're going to make it that far, and you just kind of have to full send it. So pat on the back for Rose for that one and calculating that one out. So that's going to be a really awesome win for asynchronous randoms. Definitely one to look back on and just to see like how both teams did the exact same type of format to go forward. And it really came down to like the last frame of it, of who is just going to get that one pixel just a little bit further.
Yeah, and Rainmaker can just be so tense in the last moments because it all comes down to that singular one fight, and with the checkpoints on both sides out of the way, it really kind of comes down to whether or not you're able to stay alive, even if you don't engage in a fight, just whether you're able to stay alive in the process. So the kind of dive for the checkpoint that asynchronous randoms did, like with 2 minutes left, was really a huge deal, because that meant that they didn't have to slow down and give Secret Elixir like time to respawn. So just that dive for the checkpoint, even though they went 3 down, really won them that game.
And I'm not sure if the folks back at home, if we can look at the bracket or not, but so that's going to, asynchronous random is going to be moving up in the winners bracket. That puts Secret Elixir down in the losers bracket. And there are other folks that are also meeting them down below. You have Distinct, Ominous, and Lush. It looks like maybe a deciding game for Glyph as well, potentially. The brackets are live on Sendo, by the way. So if you I think it's exclamation point bracket, you can see and follow along on the Sendo website if you'd like to see where people are at. Maybe check out where your friends are at, and seeing who they're going to be playing next. But Moving on into the winners bracket, you have Project Rat waiting for the decision between Retry and Amoura, which is at a 1-1 right now. You have MONACO versus Breakfast Time moving into the round 2, Fighting Strong versus Onicle. Onicle taking a 2-0 over Lush, and actually Breakfast Time taking a 2-0 over Ominous. So both of those teams going down in the loser bracket. Datkid Left us in Blank Z Forever, going head to head in the next round, getting a 2-0 over Distinct. And Essence getting a 2-0 over, what does that say? It like cuts off the name a little bit.
Dual E.
Oh.
Or sorry, are you reading the round 1?
Yeah, I was reading. Yeah. Which I think actually there's somebody on this team that played in Sea Battle, so that's pretty cool. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Now you can recognize people that played.
2 of them.
Yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah. Kakioka and Ivy, I believe, are both at Sea Battle.
That's so cool. Well, hi again. Nice to see you. Yeah, hi guys. So I think moving on to the next round fusion, I believe we're going to be looking to see who is going to be playing Project Rat. So Project Rat once again is waiting for the results from We Try and Amoura. Amoura? Is that how you say? Amoura. Okay. And they're in a decisive 1-1 game right now, which I think actually was just decided. So that the deciding game has just happened, I think. And our Amoura is going to be moving on. So we have Project Rat versus Amoura as our next set that we're going to be seeing on stream.
Cool. Oh yeah, Project Rat is Mox, Tomoko, Tobiaru, and Wug. So we're gonna be seeing some junior. I believe Wug mostly just plays junior. So yeah, I've been like hoping to see some.
Junior is my main weapon. Let it stay. Yeah, right. I just main the bomb.
Yeah. Although without like Pencil and double Zuka in this tournament, I do suppose that Junior gets a little bit less valuable, just because the things that it counters aren't as prevalent. But I mean, we have been seeing like Bucket and stuff. Wondering what we're going to see for kind of like our secondary offense, because it feels like everyone still has a shot, but not two.
Right. You can just be good right off the bat. You really want to be.
Yeah. I mean, in the first weapon you start with is Junior. It's same round that we just commented as well, isn't? Actually, no, it's not. But I guess we are starting on Tower Shape again. So
is that
one pick? So this is from Amoura.
Okay. So, but you know, the other really cool thing about the Sendu website is that you can see if other people are streaming their points of view. And bump on over and see what's going down on a different side of the bracket. So really, it would have been nice to see what was the deciding factor. So I like that they're going to open it up with Tower Shape again, especially because like we weren't here before to the same conclusion that this is what they want to open with.
Oh my gosh. It's like, I feel like the same thing happened that people don't hate. Like the very neutral stage, like everyone strikes to Pokemon Stadium. And nobody like really thinks much about. They're like, it's fine. And just end up going with it. So we see people having strong opinions on a lot of other TC maps in this game.
Mm-hmm. Being a really strong weapon to go against in Tower, but they also have a lot of like you also have Zeke, which is pretty cool, and for Rat you also have
actually really popular, way more so than I think anyone expected when they announced the kit. We don't see it as much just for this later as well. It's been occasionally places, but haven't seen that as much either. But either way, Project Rat has been trying to green is going to open things up. We just have screens blocking both sides of the mid to kind of back up into that kit and stay alive in the process, and very nice stealth because that's going to give time board.
Yeah, I felt like we got to see like art in action. Watching two screens just like collide across each other on their way to the final checkpoint before taking down and ending the game here once and for all. Contact with one member of Amoura, but with Project R.A.T taking it down to 2, I mean, they basically got to win it, Fusion.
For Project R.A.T, and that is the second checkpoint is oh so difficult. R.A.T's in complete control of the game, and they're thinking that like yeah, it's like when you drop a splash ball and then they drop a splash ball right in front of it, and you're like, mine's gonna run out first.
Tori is here as they try to sail their way. The flame of distraction and a lot of attention being taken away from the objective here, and the bubble once again to follow up. I mean, Project R.A.T has got this buttoned up.
Amoura definitely had some issues just kind of getting back into mid and slowing the members of Project R.A.T down. Just make it so Project R.A.T needed to kind of clear all of Project R.A.T out, but they were not able to really locate. Just gave time for Azurai to move up aggressively.
I'm still going to evade my taxes and evade the IRS. I mean, you can't stop me. You can't change that. But look at that. Oh, I mean, like, keep bringing out the interesting stuff. Say the weird thing. Do the weird thing, because it's entertaining and fun to talk about. But it's like, you don't really know, like, is that safe? Are you safe to go in?
Like, right next to each other.
Space, happy fights. And like the clamoring.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't necessarily like the last stretch, like that choke by the end, but I do like what they did. But yeah, Blaster's going from Wug. So now Amoura moving up on that left side. They find one pick. This is a lot of space. They have that Zuka ready. Here is at the start of the game for Amoura.
Yeah, and look at that! Ken finding contact behind the vacuum before it could get started. Oh, Mark, what an opening from Amoura. And then they're still having jumps coming in, Fusion. They're still just trying to get their players in for Project R.A.T to be in at the moment, because the high ground by Amoura is going to be really key here if they want to try to hold their position.
On it as the rest of their team's able to follow up, and that's going to be that's going to force Project R.A.T left side.
Yeah, they came in and ate the first meal, and they're coming back for seconds. Down a little bit past the midsection here, you can see back here, they're gonna see that that splatter screen being popped over on the left-hand side. That was a really interesting play there, and it looked like maybe a body block for the Rainmaker, since the Rainmaker didn't go down immediately.
They need to get like almost all the way to the pedestal. Grabbing the Rainmaker and just kind of diving in is not going to get much done. And 2 down to 2. Project R.A.T still looks pretty good though. They have 2 members on Amoura down. They're all 4 up, trying to swarm over onto this left side in, but nonetheless, you can't protect yourself from a Stamper even while you're in that ink back. 2 members trade on both.
A good position there to try to push them back and follow up, and now they have the ink back on their side. This is going to be really major for Project R.A.T here, as the ink back going to be successful in the fight and preventing any more momentum from Project R.A.T.
Executed push. We saw how Project R.A.T kind of waited for the last moment, trying to pop that Rainmaker, but not nearly enough paint in the middle of the map as they go for that Rainmaker and kind of get cleaned up one at a
close it out too, with the jumps coming in, well executed by Project R.A.T. Moving on forward into the winner's bracket, and Amoura going to...
And yeah, that's going to be Project R.A.T moving on to the 14th seed, able to, what is it, 37 sexy boys and Sarah and Jisha got...
So a lot of folks going to be moving on forward, but a lot of folks that are still trying to fight their way into Project R.A.T. Are you a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse? Like, how house?
I don't know. It sounds like a problem.
Coming down from over there, because Mickey Mouse Clubhouse has been making waves in other places, in other tournaments and things. Also having a really good roster on their side. You have Storm. These names, Fusion. Dual E Van. What is it?
Van Club.
Van Club. Okay. Yeah. Dual. Okay. Well. That's fine.
Or they play dually. Certainly is.
We were just talking about them a little bit earlier. Fighting strong. You have Raze, Dagno, Medi, and Mako. And I think Fusion, they gotta, which is also strange. I appreciate that it's still around, and that it's like one of the better maps for competitive. And I definitely a more useful weapon.
Let's see. European team on the other side, and mostly North American. So sure what they play, because I feel like they're kind of their identity is to bring out in this format. I feel like we may see like Edit and Slosher, if I were to take a guess, or if they have...
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't consider that. Yeah, it's still on your side, so you got to figure out something else there. But something else I want to point out is that Ray's on the side of maybe like changed it up and switched to something with like Zuka. Just because it doesn't seem like people tend to run Crab as anymore.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I haven't seen much Splash recently. Means that Splash is getting like outranged in fights, and it makes it feel not quite as Stamper Nouveau.
Yeah,
whatever it was called. They changed the name of it at some point, like after release, but in a very long time.
Yeah, quite some time. I'm an Inkjet user. Inkjet is fun. Gonna come through in Archville following up. It seems like the left-hand side is not really going to be an advantageous place for MONACO to try to push forward and gain advantage, and picking up the Rainmaker here and looking in for some points on the left.
To be careful. Here's that blaster actually moving up on the left side. If they get that bubble, they're in some big trouble. Thankfully, the Zuka, though, is able to slow things down before the MONACO still on the back foot. They are respawning. That bubble is going to support all of the jumps back in. My goodness, fighting strong has just been... Gosh,
and look at that. You can see Archville trying to retreat and get out of the fight, but they are not successful in doing so, not even opting to jump back. So they are up. The splatter screen is out, and Try Zuka here to follow up. And finding, actually, cover that Rainmaker there, but with the Inkjet coming out, you got to be really careful of where you're stepping. And once again, MONACO in a 3-down scenario.
Inkjet, they're kind of content to just sit back at this point. They don't really have to do any work. They only have to defend against that knockout. And without those coolers online and just fight to win, there's no over-aggression here. They're not moving towards that left side. They're just kind of playing back, waiting for that. But Curtin's still just waiting for things to happen. The Inkjet is going to find a pick on that jump. And, okay, well...
The Inkjet is still coming out here to follow up, and they do take the Rainmaker down successfully, so have no fear, Fusion. The Inkjet is here. They have done me through. Krim is feeling awfully comfortable to try to push up here and looking in for the call-outs to see where anybody is going to try to make entry. Splat to the pocket there, but fighting strong once again, going to be successful in popping the Rainmaker. They just keep clearing the space and being successful in their fights. You can see MONACO pushing Fighting Strong into the wipeout scenario in that corner. Fusion, I blinked, and then everybody was...
Blaster actually dropped a huge stop on that Rainmaker who was moving towards that check and can pop it in time. That's going to be game 1 to Fighting Strong.
My goodness. Okay, congratulations to them for that one, because they were in a good, really nice double pick and able to push back Mako. I mean, look at this. They went in for the chase and did not hesitate in trying to get Mako out of there. This mechanical skill, it gets really scary, and you've got to be really cautious of where you want to take your fights.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to snipe the Rainmaker who was behind the enemy team. We saw Storm T-Tech slipping in at that Rainmaker at the checkpoint. And around you and kind of play protect the president with that Rainmaker. Fighting Strong doing a great job of that, of taking advantage of like the holes in MONACO's door. What these teams will bring, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, I mean, they made the choice for map choice immediately, because we didn't even see like the question mark on the unknown stage. Like, we didn't even get to see that for like a second. They know what the other team is going to try to do, so then they go into like, you know, it's like you just have that like preemptively already, and it's like maybe you what thinking went into that to where they were like, okay, this is where we can actually be advantageous and try to get a win.
I'm sticking with their what they're going with here, at least. Sorry, excuse me. In control is, but MONACO, yeah, and that's actually going to be the splash, which we were mentioning earlier. So that's going to be a lot of kind of entry.
I'm going to trust their choices here and see what they... The first pop, even though they didn't really have too much room from that suction bomb there, and still taking so much room on the left-hand side. They're probably really close to their second crab, as Fighting Strong...
It really seems like They had a plan going here. That's going to be Len on the Blaster, making a bubble, finding several picks. That's going to be done a little bit more.
Yeah, you could tell that they wanted to do a little more with that push, but I mean, not when you have Len coming through and Steve. And there are residual clams to be had with the man advantage as well. The Inkjet is looking in to try to defend the opening just a little bit longer here. Points as they could, going down into the 3.
Over there. And that is not going to be the kind of... But MONACO is starting to accumulate quite a bit of clams here. They're just waiting for an opportunity to go in, and now with 2...
Oh man, a wipeout for Fighting Strong here situation, which is unfortunate. They still have a really solid lead here, a little bit of a penalty too, but when you have Len following up with that bubble, it's going to provide a little to fight these folks, and they just can't be finding contact and keep finding themselves at this, trying to pull members of MONACO away from that basket area so that they can get a little bit more headway and make a little bit more room here. But
Crap, not able to get anything done on that left side. MONACO has all the clams they could possibly need, but they need to find a way in. They have not been able to get onto the plat since their first push of this. These power clams would be enough to likely secure back a lead, but on the enemy plat, but if they run for it, they're in for some trouble. Here comes Mako. That's going to be one power clam in. The second power clam went in as well. It's just Medi online. MONACO has one last shot to run for this basket.
Crim on the Inkjet was huge that they have, and look at this, even with the overtime fusion, they aren't going to have any time to even make another power clam, and nobody wanted to pick up Pity because want to be having against a team like Fighting Strong going in with a 2-0 so far, and taking us to
here, taking the first 2 games. They looked a little bit less dominant in this second game, and
I think it's loser counter pick.
Yeah,
I think it's still like that.
MONACO still had.
Yeah, for sure, and it's like MONACO still is such a strong contender here, and I just think they were making the correct plays and doing the right thing that they wanted to, like, for what they wanted, and it, like, every time to like the 60 or the 50 mark. The second pop they got it down to the 30 mark. The final pop they got it all the way down to the single digit mark. So consistently, and like not overextending themselves and being worried that maybe they would lose their lead. And especially in that final bout, Fighting Strong has really, really, really strong defensive tactics, and you could tell that like they were on the edges of their seat.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, these maps are going to be just like Sendo Q, and the maps were picked towards the start that you would see, but for this map, I feel like anything short range can get a lot of work done.
Yeah, it absolutely can. But I do appreciate that this bucket pick for MONACO here, and that is being their cooler weapon as well. So it can be really challenging to fight. It's kind of nice to see her again and see her come back around. So opening statements being made, fighting as different fights are being had. You can see that that Storm is kind of down in a 2 versus a shot there, and looking ahead as now all 3 members have probably been called out on Fighting Strong here. So MONACO is going to waste no time to try to push.
They have. They've been able to just stay alive and really get such clutch picks. Chicken Man has absolutely no idea that a member of MONACO just snuck that side. Did they just? I think they might have zipped through that floor there and gotten a pick out of that. But either way, the tower's going to move to that first checkpoint, but MONACO still alive and kicking in the mid. Grab this check because it's very difficult to do so while it's being bombarded by bombs, but no one's able to watch that flank in time. And
so Goober cannot really find any footing here and get them something to had here for Fighting Strong, because Fighting Strong low battle here of who can try to be advantageous, but then it's like every time they inch a little bit more forward, it's like it's huge, still holding the tower at the 56.
The tower, that's going to be a huge pick onto that ball point.
Yeah.
That's going to be a very nice snipe has been putting on a lot of pressure this game, and Fighting Strong needs to find
hand here to prevent anybody from taking out. They are back in the fight. So right hand side, Fighting Strong, it is open season here to try and pop these checkpoints now, and with Len popping that bubble too, that's going to be so useful. Going down, and with the sights set by the sniper on
to a game 4. Very nice job of weapons coming out for them. Obviously Luna just a situational pick, but I'm wondering if they have a similar kind of pick on the ball point there top left a lot easier to start spawn camping on, and it's difficult to get back in. So
major for fighting strong, especially in like really key position holds, being so small too, and the only entry point really into the map that you can feasibly get into with utility for people to. I really would like to see the inkjet still stay here because there's a lot of high points to be things.
yeah, niche, but they do indeed have a pick for this one, which is going to be that range blaster. We see just that extra little bit of range, and we see the 52 actually coming out, which is going to help mid here, but Medi again able to find a nice pick and open things up in a big way for MONACO.
Yeah, and Wavebreaker versus Wavebreaker, just because I feel like I like putting my little structures on the map. Playing this pretty carefully, Fusion. They don't want to rush in. They don't want to overextend. They definitely not much utility to be found as two members go.
Opportunity. They nearly have the zone. They are able to get the flip. Mako just has been yet, but 3 members down. Delayed wipe onto MONACO.
Callouts and to utilize that inkjet. But when you have the confidence that they do, you're going to push forward into the spawn. Look at this, still not wasting time to go in and fight and defend the zones here. The town, and they end up losing control just very briefly. They're still able to take the correct fights. Look in for the picks, and oh my gosh, locked in.
Work of their own. Now jumps come back in for MONACO. Teams are still fighting through the zone despite everything that's going on. It's just the Charger left in the zone.
Final seconds, they just kept running around and doing the thing. They're fighting strong. It's in the name. It's in the name.
They do be fighting strong. I am dissociating a bit. Apologies. Last game here. They're not going to have to bring it to Rainmaker Humpback, which again we saw from that Secret Elixir versus asynchronous randoms.
Asynchronous randoms, yeah.
Strong coming back in that game. We saw kind of how slow they took their retake on Umami, and I think it paid off for them. They didn't.
Bracket 2 Fusion. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse was successful in the rodent battle between them and Project R.A.T. They've got a 3-0 over seed currently in the tournament, so maybe I will eat my words here. But looking down too, Datkid Left Us is also going to be moving on, and then there is a definitive.
We'll see if they're able to survive in winner's bracket, because there's a lot of beautiful. Very quick break here. We'll see you guys in just a second for semifinal.
Hey everybody, welcome on back to Proving Grounds. We are here to resume the proving of the ground. My name is Saf. I'm here with my pal Fusion, and I'm back with string cheese. So we are so back.
Have you seen? We're so back right now. Have
Yeah.
you seen? I've seen us. I don't remember. I have no idea actually who made it, but I've seen memes going around about a new weapon called the cheese stringer,
Uh,
and that would be a very funny thing if it was in the game. I love string cheese, and I wish I was not lactose intolerant because I love string cheese.
how would the weapon work? Would you just peel off pieces and smack them? Smack people with them?
Maybe it like fires a line.
A line of string cheese?
Yeah.
I hope none of you out there bite into your string cheese.
The
If you
only
do,
way to
don't-
do it is just peel it.
Yeah, don't talk to us. Don't do that.
Will actively harm you if you eat
Yeah,
the cheese
we
string
will
from one to the
ostracize
other
you.
end just by taking a bite.
It's like that meme. My favorite meme I've been seeing lately is the one of like Paper Mario, where people like complain about the game, and then Mario gets really big and like gives the thumbs up, and then like goes back in the group of people. It's like 3 different frames.
I have not seen that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to find it for you after the stream.
Please do. But yeah, we are going to be watching, I believe, the boys in this match.
But which boys?
37 sexy boys and Sarah and Jisha, and beautiful boys. So you've got plenty of beautiful boys, almost enough to fill a 48-man bracket. Not quite enough though. Be an
That's
interesting
a lot of boys.
season of the Bachelorette.
Oh my gosh.
Or the Bachelor, excuse me.
That's so many
the
boys.
Bachelorette. Yes. Sorry, I don't watch enough to know which is which.
That's still. But if there's 37 boys over there, but we have beautiful boys over here, and then you have the boys back at home and the boys in chat, then who's proving their ground? Who's running the stream?
The boys back in town. They're back in town to kill you.
Okay, so beautiful boys, they took it to a definitive 3-2 against 37 boys. So we apologize, 37 sexy boys. We'll miss you, but sexy doesn't compare to beautiful, as beautiful boys are here in the winter semifinals against Datkid Left us with sad face, with Harshi Chaos and Sleepy Z emoji, and stands, versus CJ, Spec, Looples, and Mar. And I believe CJ, Spec, Looples, and Mar, this group of people has been playing together for quite a bit, no? They're the beautiful boys.
Think so. They're from the team XOXO, it looks like, on Sendo.
Yeah,
I love how we can just click on their names. It's very nice. But they do seem to be playing together quite a bit. I don't know, just a lot of strong players on both sides that I think we've seen. And we've seen in general. Actually, we've got one member of XOXO on the other side for Datkid Left us, Kiki. Yeah, this is a +3 versus +3 grudge match, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it's seeming like to me. I really appreciate XOXO showing up to Proving Grounds consistently, even if they are now onto different things and doing different things. It's still nice to hear and nice to see, especially because you have someone like Looples is, I'm pretty sure, a brush one trick. So that's always fun. Yeah, I think they're a brush run trick, so that's always fun. But then you also have some uniqueness from the sloshing machine and the stamper as well, and it's always fun to see something like a brush and a stamper coming together to try to win a fight. So is that something that could happen here? There is potential, but only time will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell at this point. I mean, the weapon restrictions, like we've seen so far, the tournament have certainly changed a lot. We do indeed see. Never mind.
What
We
do
hopped
you?
into it.
What do you got? Nothing.
A knife.
No.
But yeah,
You
ZF.
have a knife.
ZF is popular.
Yeah, why is that? Is there a reason for that, or is that just because of like update? Is it because of the bans? Like, what's the reasoning for ZNF being so popular right now?
I mean,
Or today?
I think Charger is just really popular in a format with no pencil. Like, what other backline are you going to run? It's like Rapid Pro, maybe, Ballpoint, maybe, and it's like it has strikes, which I think is just a really valuable special. So, yeah, we've been seeing a lot of it, and we're probably going to see a lot more. It's like pencil in that like you can kind of afford to run weapons that don't have like a displacement special. Like you could run shot, you could even run like blaster or heck, I don't know, something with like splashdown, or you can run a variety of things with it. I think it's just nice to kind of say like allocate your backline to it because they're going to be alive. It was wrong teams the previous time, it looks like. So we'll be hopping right back into it in just a moment. Both teams, I think, already know what's coming, but we'll be hopping
gotta
into
see kind of a
control
prequel.
haggle.
Yeah, kind of got to see a precursor. I was really wondering that for a second. I was like, is double bucket and brush really? Is that the move? Is that the move these days?
Maybe. It may just be.
Just out of curiosity. Okay. Well, now loading into the game. Okay, so yeah, Stamper and the sloshing machine. Okay. This is a little bit more reasonable. However, I still really like the ink brush pick. I'm so happy with Looples here on this ink brush pick and just staying so true to themselves. I don't know, man. If it ain't broke for you and it just works, you gotta like learn to try to make it work and play with people that you enjoy playing with, even if their weapon pool is a little bit off base and kind of strange, and maybe is like a little off meta. Dare I say it? Off meta. Because look at that, Looples is going in for a really, really good pick there, and now going into a 3-down scenario here. I mean, this is looking really good so far. Excuse me, this is looking really good so far for Beautiful Boys.
Yeah, it definitely is. The Suka not able to find anything onto that tower, and you see both members, two members, trying to gear up to take that top right. Such an important area. They're able to really clear a lot of space. The tower not able to get stopped yet. That's two members down yet again. Onto... Oh my goodness. Yeah, the tower is just going to continue moving forward. That's two members down onto Datkid Left us. The tower moving through that checkpoint all the way to the final checkpoint. Looples just dancing around the tower, surviving for way too long. They're going to be able to survive and just stall enough for Mar to get back into mid and find a very nice pick.
Yeah, Mar is going to be really crucial here with trying to follow up, but finally all 4 members of Datkid Left us are back in the middle section. Sorry, Fusion and I are both experiencing a sudden bout of cough and dry throat. Both of us just trying to make it through here and just bring you the best cast that we possibly can. Datkid Left us now with a 3-member down scenario. They are all pushed back in the spawning area. This is a really, really good spot for Beautiful Boys to be in, and especially when you have specials online, and the 2 specials that are important here, which is all of these tri-strikes. So you have 6 little balls with so much potential here to cause a riot, and so far it's going to be working out for Beautiful Boys because they are just locking it down in the 13 mark, and they are not letting up on the pressure here, because you can see Looples is already causing chaos up in that spawning area and launching that killer whale at the same time.
Yeah, the burst just causing so much distraction, giving a tower the space it needs to move forward. Looples still alive in the enemy base. they're going to get taken out. And finally, it looks like Datkid Left is going to be able to get back into the middle of the map and hope to get something started. But they're going to have a lot of difficulty moving the tower forward as long as a member of the Beautiful Boys is up on that high ground. They're able to kind of just bomb the tower out from a distance. But now look at this. Nice job. The machine's able to find two just out of position on that left side. 3 members down with a near delayed, well, I'd say a near delayed wipe, but my goodness, they respawn so quickly from that cooler. They're already back into the middle of the map, so it's not going to be an opportunity for Datkid Left to move forward, but they've certainly had some good opportunities to get a push going. They just need to get those picks all at the same time.
Yeah, but when you have so much mobility like Loopholes, it's really hard to feel that you're safe, and especially that DNF charger. If Loopholes can break through like they have been, you really got to be watching your back and not really getting too cozy in a certain spot, because they will be there to try to follow up. But look at that. You can see Riceball trying to break through and take in the fight. Loopholes going down in the trade. So finally, you can see Datkid is feeling a little more comfortable to try to take the tower here and go in for the fight. They really just got to be mindful of where Loopholes is going to be at, just because they have so much mobility and they're so like sneaky in their tactics.
Yeah, I mean, when you have that brush running around, it can be very difficult to try and secure a kill. Something like a machine obviously could do a very good job of it, but it's difficult if it's not that person actively looking at it. And this whale, oh my goodness, just causing so much displacement. The bombs and the whales have just made it impossible for people to ride the tower to that first checkpoint. Datkid Left has just not been able to even bring the tower to that corner because they just haven't gotten the picks ahead of the tower. Just because of like the mobility that the Beautiful Boys have been like putting out. They've been just coming from multiple angles and attacking the tower. But now 2 members down, this is a big opportunity. This could be exactly what they need if Mar wasn't there to quickly find 2 onto that tower, saving the butts of the Beautiful Boys and giving them an opportunity to move the tower into the corner, take it as far away from their base as they can. They have the strikes to win this game. They're going to be able to toss them at the tower. Here they come, and that seems like it is going to be game.
Yeah, Mar was holding on to those strikes for quite a while, but look at over on the right-hand side, Fusion. Look at that flank lying in wait to try to take Mar out, and if they had just a little bit more time, I'm sure that they could have tried to make contact there. But yeah, well played by Beautiful Boys. Really firm foothold throughout the game, and just, I mean, impeccable like team synergy as well. I mean, obviously some of these folks are no strangers to one another. They've done this before and have played in many a game with one another. So it's always nice to see it happen in live in action. And I know was a huge XOXO fan when that team was out and kicking butt. So Beautiful Boys, I appreciate you. I see you are seen and you are heard, and the team synergy that you have is just nuts to me. However, Datkid Left consistently on the flank though, Fusion. I mean, consistently they were not allowing Beautiful Boys to really utilize the flanks of their own. I mean, granted, you have someone like Loopholes who has a lot of mobility, sure, but consistently whenever you would see Beautiful Boys try to peer around the right or the left hand side, you would consistently see someone from Datkid there to try to engage.
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, that's true, but it also means they're kind of committing all of their attention to like the sides of the map, right? So they're always kind of fighting in like less important parts of the map. So they kind of needed to scramble back to get the tower moving, and there was less kind of like brute forcing through mid, right? I feel like if a lot of the fighting was going on right at the tower, then they would have been able to hop on a lot quickly, and especially Mar was a really big issue for Datkid Left there, because Mar was just able to affect the tower from such a distance away and was not taken out. And basically every time that the tower, you know, Hagglefish is like one of those maps where like your push is already won or lost by the time the tower gets to the checkpoint, like the first checkpoint. If you're not moved forward and taking out members and like keeping them back off of their high ground and moving onto their plat, it's like there's no way the tower is going to be moving forward. So just the fact that they weren't able to rush down the ZF in time meant that their push was kind of needed to dive for that checkpoint if they were going to get it at all. We're going to be hopping back into zones. We're going to be seeing that heavy edit on one side and the other pencil coming out here. We do have a DC, so we're going to restart it real quick, but this pencil I don't believe is banned, and
I don't think so either.
Pretty solid kit.
Interesting. They were like, yeah, you know what? You didn't say what's like an off-brand. What's like an off-brand you got like the Ticonderoga, you got like the cream of the crop pencil, but like what's like the follow-up? Does Bic make pencils?
Probably? I don't know.
Right?
I'm thinking about one time when I was a kid and I went to the supermarket and they were selling a movie called Kick Chop Panda.
That's so specific.
That's what I'm feeling.
Kick Chop.
It's true.
It's the prequel
there's a couple
to
other ones too.
It's the prequel. Dude.
This was when there was only one Kung Fu Panda movie, I think.
Okay, I just had to check. Did they did Kung
It was
Fu?
very funny.
I think Kung Fu Panda copied. This is copyright. Kick Chop.
I mean, it's not. I don't think Kung Fu Panda is like. Whatever. Yeah, Kick Chop Panda. Very interesting.
Kick Chop Panda walked so that Kung Fu Panda could fly.
He can fly? That would be a very fun movie if he could fly.
It's new mechanic just dropped for Kung Fu Panda. He can fly now.
Wow. Damn. That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, what is this? The red pencil is like Snipe Rider 5H. Actually, I don't even know what it's called. Is it 5H and 5B? Yeah, it is 5H and 5B.
Okay, so
is B for bold?
I think B is for bold. So when you use like artist pencils, the B ones are like harder, quote unquote. So like the lead is like the lead is harder, and then I think the H pencils are softer. Yeah. H is like a thinner pencil, and then B is bolder.
I see. That's cool.
They should make an eraser weapon.
Sorry, I'm like, my brain is going through the calculations. I'm like, is there an eraser weapon? Is there an eraser weapon?
I'm chop kick chop panda. And Kung Fu Panda already existed.
Yeah,
so it's
that's why they're selling Chop Kick Panda in the supermarket. You know?
Oh my god, it's like the off-brand Oreos.
Oh my god, the off-brand Oreos are not nearly as good as the regular Oreos.
Well, we have Kung Fu Panda at home. It's Chop Kick Panda. Oh, I'm sorry. That was just so funny. Okay. Okay,
Honestly,
I'm here.
All the knockoff like movies and games and stuff are they're very funny.
Okay, I'm here. We're playing Splat Zones. We have Headit. You have the Chop Kick Pencil on the side of Beautiful Boys. You have Mar playing the Chop Kick Pencil. With which, you're right, not a bad kit, a pretty decent kit at that, and I appreciate the ink wall on it, because, I mean, what better way to get so much paint down on the ground when you have a shield right in front of you, to try to block the path of the opposing force, and Beautiful Boy's gonna do just that. They have a really strong opening here, and Mar gonna follow up with the Ink Storm, and with the Cooler on the back foot there too. This is looking really good for a fresh start for Beautiful Boys.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just so much paint supplied by that 5B pencil, able to give the team the support they need to try and take that top left. But actually, while that's going on, Riceball is able to move in. Now, the Stamper is going to be diving at the pencil, but support is going to come just in the nick of time. Members of the Beautiful Boys are going to be forced to back out in this situation and just concede the zone. The Stamper, are they able to find anything? They do, able to just land directly on one of the members, on the pencil nonetheless, or no less. And that's going to stall a potential push. Lupul's not able to find the pick in time. Little fadeaway, making it extra difficult, and that is still going to be Datkid left us in control of the zone.
Datkid had really, really great momentum here. The jumps are going to be coming in and protected at that. The lead has now been flipped. And the firefight consistently has been on the side of the Beautiful Boys, because Datkid is not really sitting on the back foot this time. They want to be a little bit more aggressive. They want to be a little more forward. And I think especially with having that Pettit on their side too, it allows them to play a little bit more forward, and their backline gets to be a little bit more aggressive too, which can be super advantageous, especially with this Stamper. I mean, Riceball has been so brave here and going into really dire situations and just trying to eliminate the painting weapon that Beautiful Boys has, and they did just that throughout the entirety of it. Like, you could see it in the closing of the game. Riceball just flying around and trying to go into tricky situations and prevent some distraction. So, I mean, Datkid left us. This was a really good follow-up for them. This was a good game for them to try to come and clap back, and we're now tied set.
Yeah, I mean, talk about dominant. As soon as Datkid left us was able to grab that zone there, they didn't let go for a moment, and we saw the Stamper actually twice get those Zipcaster picks on. I think it was, well, the first time it was the pencil. I don't remember who it was the second time, but really just that area on the enemy plat was just under constant fire from that Stamper, and made it that much more difficult for the Beautiful Boys to get back in. So yeah, we're going to be moving on to Clamblitz Crableg for our next game, and this is a big map, and if there were pencil in the game, we would be seeing it, or rather, if there were cooler pencil, then we would be seeing it. I'm curious, actually, if we're going to be seeing that same pencil again coming out here. It didn't seem to work out last game, but that might have just been because Datkid left us went a little bit off on this last one. But yeah, you see crab here a lot. I mean, it's called crab leg for a reason. And I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing anything interesting. It's very difficult to get in on this map. And this, in the past, is where you would have seen either constant crab or kraken jumps, and now kraken jumps aren't an option. So what's the big idea?
Yeah, what is going to be the move here? And I completely agree with you. I think the red pencil would still be a good choice here, especially because like the running around on the grates and like considering the openness of it, the Inkstorm is really good here, and especially for trying to, I guess, lock out areas, especially when you try to break in from the left-hand side to take the basket, not just opting to go right down the center up the ramp. The Inkjet or the Inkstorm can be really good for trying to reclaim that area, but also pushing the backline off of those grates. You want to be kind of poking at them a little bit, not letting them get comfy. So Riceball here is still going to be holding on to the Stamper. However, they are going to be using the Crab Tank like we talked about, but there is a Crab Tank on the opposite side, Fusion. So actually a pretty interesting change-up coming out from both teams.
Yeah, it's going to be two of the Stamper Nouveaux. And yeah, I guess that's a very solid weapon here with the Toxic Mist and Crab Tank. They're really going to kind of aim to get set up on the high ground by those grates. But first things first, they're going to have to clear the space in order to get there. So Spec over on this left side trying to clear some space out. They have a Crab Tank at the ready, but they're going to back out in this situation. They go down in the process, so it seems like it is going to be an early start for Datkid left us. But nonetheless, Lupul's still managing to survive.
Yeah, and able to jump out at that. So really good economy to be had for Beautiful Boys here. But I mean, just a kind of a neutral game though, because this is a really hard map to try to fight on, especially when you have Crab Tank at your disposal. because all the range is on your side at that point. And one thing I do want to point out, Fusion, is I appreciate, again, how you have loopholes on the paintbrush still, even though you have a stamper. So not really as much ink to be utilized here. Definitely like a lot less inkable surfaces for sure, considering the top grades, but just not a lot of ink on the side of Beautiful Boys. So definitely have to be more cautious of your footing here and kind of how you want to play it and where you want to go. But I mean, wasting no time though, as you can see, Looples going in and being brave against the head it here. And also they were in a 2-down scenario, and Looples is still going to try and push forward and cause a riot. But now with them being 2 members down and the cooler coming out, this is going to be the push coming out from Datkid here. And especially when you have Hirashi getting set up on the high ground with the head. And look at the Crab Tank trying to follow up too. And I mean, this is a really dangerous spot for Beautiful Boys to be in.
Yeah, it definitely is, but they're forced to kind of move in with their bodies and just run towards the basket. They're able to live in the process, and this is a huge push opportunity for Datkid. That's going to be them moving forward, getting the score all the way down to 53. They're out of plans at this point. They're going to try and get some picks with that Zuka. Not able to find anything just yet. Harshi is going to be able to live out this and survive on this top left for their team. They nearly have another power climb at the ready. So a very strong, successful push on this map. Again, without crack and cheese, you take what you can get on this map, and that was a very nice way to open things up.
Yeah, and look at Spec going in and grabbing that cooler and then wasting no time to push forward here. They're going to go in for the flank, and the mist is going to kind of help them out with that. They're taking a lot of eyes away from the tower and away from where that ball wants to be going. And that's going to be a really crucial point, too, with the tri-strikes coming out. They're trying everything they can to open up this basket and make some headway here. But, I mean, with the amount of inking power that kid has, it's going to be really challenging for them, because already you can see they've already burned through 2 different specials to try to get in there. And CJ was like, I just got to go for it here. And now with 2 members down and the Crab Tank being popped there, there was only 2 people to try to defend that opening. And you can see Spec trying to at least take the fight from one of them and away from the Crab Tank, but a solo pop nonetheless from Beautiful Boys.
Yeah, just a small amount of points on the board. You take what you can get. One's not what they're hoping for there, but it does get them essentially 10 points on the board, including that penalty. So they have a lot of clams at the ready yet again, so all they need is a little bit of an opportunity in order to get in, and Mar may have just given them that. With the strikes, they have an opportunity to just move forward towards that basket through mid, but the Stamper is guarding things up in that top right. They're going to get singled out here, and now Mar finds yet another. The Stamper's going to jump out. The ball is going to come towards the basket. The strikes come in. That's one. There's members on the grates up in the top left. That's going to be the Crab leading the way. It's going to be the lead. Really big push coming out. That's going to be the score all the way down to 42 members left on the side of Beautiful Boys. Only 1 member left. They're going to be forced to retreat. They have there's a lot of specials and clams at the ready on the other side. They need to be ready to answer back, but that bomb is going to come up huge. Booyah cancel as well. This zap from CJ becomes doing a lot of work and slowing down Datkid.
Yeah, and CJ too playing it so carefully and opting to kind of stand backwards a little bit and just try to play some defense. Only 18 seconds remaining here for Datkid to try to flip the lead once again. And they're in a good position to do it. Now the cooler being popped, the jumps coming back, everybody coming back and grabbing that cooler for the final push here. And the economy is on their side to get the lead that they want. So they just got to be playing it carefully. But you can't do that if already one of your members is going down, but then a trade is going to be had. Hirashi was just going to try to go for it themselves. They were able to get close, but no dice. And looking in for the fight, you can see a 2 versus 1 happening, but the strikes are going to try to separate those 2 from being able to get advantageous there. And you can see Hirashi again trying to come in with the Booyah Bomb, but just not quite enough time. It just kind of seemed like the push there kind of fell apart at the end. So unfortunate for them, but wow, a great follow-up by Beautiful Boys.
Yeah, it's a nice way to battle back, able to just stay in the game, answering back with a big push of their own. They had all the specials online. They got the picks they need. Again, Mar coming up huge with a few very big picks. And able to clear the way with those strikes as well. And even the picks coming out from CJ Biggums on the zap were massive, because, you know, the easiest time to get pushed in Clam Blitz is right after you push and go like 3 or 4 down. So Really good job kind of stabilizing there. We're going to be moving on to Rainmaker on Museum for our next map. It's a game 4 situation. Beautiful Boys just needs to take one more game, and they're in winners finals.
Oof, that's got to be exciting, Fusion. There's a lot riding on this last one for Rainmaker on Museum, and I think with the way that Beautiful Boys have been playing, it seems like even though they didn't have the paint on their side, they just were able to find one hole in the defense of Datkid and take full advantage to try to turn it around. So Datkid really can't slip up here. They can't slip up. They can't really let any more mistakes be had, because it just seems like that Beautiful Boys are really, really quick to jump on that when they see a mistake being made. So definitely something to consider when you're going into this final round here, something to be mindful of. And if you want to stay in, you got to be cautious of what you want to do. And it seemed like maybe the amount of inking power that they had against Beautiful Boys was helpful here. But obviously now with a game like Rainmaker and the stakes now being a little higher and changing, that's probably not going to be something that they can count on this time. So again, just being mindful of where you want to make the right choices, but also don't let the other team capitalize on your mistakes, because Beautiful Boys so far has been very good at doing that.
They certainly have, and now the pressure is on. Beautiful Boys just needs this one game to move to winners finals. Datkid Left Us needs to win this to stay in the set here. We do see the Stampers yet again from both sides coming out, finding a lot of value out of that crab tank, it seems, and they're going to find some more value out of it here on this big open middle of the map. Already towards the start here, that is going to be Looples on the left side, going for a little bit of an early flank, not able to find an opening just yet to get in, but able to net themselves quite a bit of paint in the map, as well as Beautiful Boys sets up for an early advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, immediately, like you said, Looples is already there down in the fight, and that is also something that Datkid Left Us can probably count on for that. And Looples is there already to take the fight again. They find one and find two picks, and Mar is able to go into the platform with ease here. Not able to get the checkpoint, unfortunately, especially with the mist and bombs and crab. Just an onslaught of things to try to keep them out. But Mar's going to play it patiently here, especially when they have CJ on their side. CJ able to call out the flank immediately. Look at that, stopping the bucket from even coming close to Mar, allowing for Beautiful Boys to pop that first checkpoint. Great defense.
Yeah, just great work on that Rainmaker hold there. Able to kind of stall. They don't take the bait and run into the crab tank. They don't get hit by the bomb sliding down the ramp either. That early checkpoint is going to be massive when it comes to later pushes for the Beautiful Boys. So here we go. Finally, it's going to be Datkid Left Us kind of getting stabilizing, getting back on their feet. The crab tank runs out in the middle of the map, but the Rainmaker is kind of dead in mid in this at this point. So still relatively even situation. There's an opportunity for points to come on the board here, but still there's members of Datkid Left Us just sitting around that spinner, so you can't really push just yet. Mar hoping to come up huge with one pick, but no one seems to be taking the bait just yet. Mar's going to be forced to grab that Rainmaker without getting a pick just yet and try and get points on the board, but it's not going to work out for them. It's going to be two members down onto Beautiful Boys.
Yeah, you gotta appreciate their effort there. They were really lined up to try to storm the platform, but unfortunate for them, just a better usage of the spinner there. So the crab tank being popped there for Datkid Left Us. You can see once again Beautiful Boys trying to take the Rainmaker back up to follow up, but Mar being the last one alive, they have to retreat here. And they gotta do it carefully, because look at that! They had two different people on them and successful in the jump out. But that left a huge opening for Datkid Left Us to go in and take that checkpoint. So only a 1 point difference here. They just got to grab and go. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They just had to take 1 foot away from that pedestal to flip the lead. So again, a 1 point lead here to be had. Beautiful Boys on the back foot. However, with two members going down and the crab tank being popped there, they got to be careful of coming back out here, as Spec is going to be taken down. CJ almost getting taken down in the process. the mist being thrown at them, but not really preventing any momentum from them being able to get away. And we're just going to kind of see a trade back and forth of these crab tanks and tri-strikes here until we can get more momentum. I mean, just a 1-point difference here for Beautiful Boys to try to take it in, and they only have less than 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, both the checkpoints have been broken, but that's it. So anyone who can get the Rainmaker onto the enemy plat pretty much has the victory. So neither team wants to give up the fight in mid. No one wants to engage just yet. Everyone's playing it kind of safe. Here's multiple members of Beautiful Boys trying to take the fight up that right side. That's going to be the strikes coming up huge. That forces the entirety of the team backwards. Mar dives for some extra points, but ends up getting taken out in the process. I believe that was by the Zuka. The strikes are going to come out on that Rainmaker, but there's a crab on the Rainmaker spec trying to clear the way. That's going to be a few more extra points, but not nearly as much as people might have been hoping for. Just both teams diving for that Rainmaker there. Lupul's trying to move around that right side. They're not going to find a way to sneak in. Every opening watched by Datkid Left us there. So now 50 seconds left. They need to gear up for a push of their own, hoping for a way in. They need to be careful of Mar on this charger, able to really just cause damage from so far away. Here's Lupul's on top mid. They find one. They're eyeing up that Rainmaker. They're going to end up moving forward and trying to dive for it, but the Rainmaker takes them out, and now Mar finds the pick that they need. That is going to be a pick onto the Rainmaker. They have a crab tank at the ready. If the crab's able to get onto top mid, they could clear a lot of space. Here's Rice Ball moving. They're moving into top mid. Here they go on the right side. That's 2 members down. That's 1 pick. And all of the members of Beautiful Boys are up on the spinner. They're up on that top right. Here comes the Rainmaker diving onto this left side. They're going to dive. They're going to get a few extra points, and that's the lead. 7 seconds left. It's going to be Datkid Left us with the lead. Beautiful Boys has only 2 seconds to try and pop the Rainmaker and get it for themselves. They don't have nearly enough presence to do it. That's going to be the game for not for the Beautiful Boys, for Datkid Left us.
They're still in it. Wow, what a lead to be had there. Like you said, like the crab tank was that was it. That was the initiator for the push. As soon as Rice Ball got set up, it was all downhill from there. They got one player down. They were pushing the other 3 behind the spinner. That gave so much time for the other members of Datkid Left us to push forward and to infiltrate onto the plat. And I really appreciate those tri-strikes trying to come out from Beautiful Boys to just extend it a little bit further, to be like, hey, don't let them pick it up. If we can get just a little closer, maybe we can try to do something here. And so you got to appreciate that, even though they were on the back foot, that they tried their hardest to get into there and to try to pick it up and get something moving. But man, I mean, just right place, right time, really good lining up of specials. This has been an awesome set so far, and now we are at the final game with a tied set. Going into all reliable on Tower Control Inkblot.
Oh yeah. Tower Control Inkblot is where all of the disputes are settled there. Yeah, look at this crab from Rice Ball. This was absolutely huge. This is kind of like the bread and butter. This is exactly what they needed. And the fact that all of the members of Beautiful Boys were forced to back up like behind their spinner was kind of the death knell there. If they were able to kind of back up towards the ramp instead, they may have had an opportunity to slow down that Rainmaker, but just really good awareness, getting that stamper onto top mid, getting the crab going, and getting just enough space for the Rainmaker to grab that lead.
Yeah, and again, Lupul's. It's been so entertaining to see this brush gameplay from Lupul's, because consistently they're in the pocket and causing a riot up on front of the enemy team. They're consistently going forward and not wasting any time to try to be aggressive and going for the flank and like, where can I take a fight? Where can I immediately take somebody away from objective and try to push it back? So like, you gotta appreciate that. And I mean, especially on Tower Control Inkblot, they were gonna have a field day with this, especially if they're not careful about their bats. If Datkid Left us lets Lupul's infiltrate into the bats, that can be really, really harmful and dangerous, especially with the type of mobility that they've been able to display here. So I think they really got to prevent a lot of ink usage to be had by Beautiful Boys to give that space to Lupul's. But I still like it. Look at this. Rice Ball still holding on to this stamper. Something with this crab tank is just working for them. And I mean, the stacks here are a good spot for that.
Yeah, they certainly are. But we do only see the crab coming out from the beautiful, not for the beautiful boys, for Datkid Left us here. It seemed to work out for them previously, but yeah, it's going to be difficult for that Stamper to really move up as aggressively as something like a Splash or Dualies would be. It's kind of more of like a midline with Crab, so you kind of need to play off the space that your teammates create. Here's Mar over on that left side trying to get that checkpoint with those strikes. They're not going to be able to grab it just yet. The members of their team are going to be forced backwards as Spec tries to help out but isn't able to finish off the members of Datkid Left us. Now the strikes are going to come out towards the tower in just a moment. If Spec doesn't get taken out by the Zuka first, Kiwi able to find two, looking for a third. That's huge. It's going to be a massive opening. Mars, the only member of Beautiful Boys left. They're going to get taken out before they jump, and this is a huge opportunity as the tower rolls into that second check.
Yeah, you could tell Mar was getting a little freaked out there. They were like, whoa, man, what happened? I gotta get out of here. And getting an onslaught of 3 different people from Datkid Left us coming down. And Datkid Left us is wasting no time to try to win this game here. 2 members going down. And you can see maybe a little bit on the back foot as Rice Ball is trying to defend the bats for as much as they can. I mean, they immediately just onslaught onto Beautiful Boys, gave Beautiful Boys no time to try to really cook up anything there. And you can see as soon as CJ or anybody is trying to make a move, that Datkid is just 1 step ahead of them and able to keep them out. So not even a first checkpoint break for Beautiful Boys here, and almost the last checkpoint to be taken by Datkid Left us. And look at all of this painting power that they have, Fusion. I mean, the map has never been more yellow.
Yeah, I mean, all of this paint control is crazy. The Crab's going to come out into mid. Harshy doing a very good job keeping things locked down in the mid. Yeah, they're just kind of looking to hold on to ground, but the members are going down fairly quickly. Kiwi is going to try and move in on the tower. They find 1 pick. They're going to look for a second one. The Whales are going to take them out, but again, the tower gets shut down at the first before it gets taken. And they're just having a hard time really getting the tower through that checkpoint because all the members of Datkid Left us are still alive in the process. But while this is all happening, that's 3 down. There may be cooler respawns, but that's 3 down. Lupul's moving ahead into bats. Mars the only one on tower, but there's a lot of space. This is going to be that first checkpoint for Beautiful Boys. And now that they're in bats, things can get a little bit dicey. Lupul's watching a lot of space. They're able to find 1. 2 members guarding that mid. There's 1 in the attic. They find a pick on that heavy edit, and they clear out the attic. Spec guarding the second checkpoint from the Stamper. That's going to be the tower rolling on in, but they're going to need to do some work quickly because there's members in bats coming in. That's checkpoint. Here's Mar rolling in to that final checkpoint. The members are fighting. That's going to be a huge pick. They're 3 down. That's not going to be it just yet. The jump on the tower stops it. The tower's going to continue rolling. That's going to be lead for the Beautiful Boys.
Oh my gosh, and it doesn't stop there, Fusion. The 3rd tower has now fallen. It is just smooth sailing. It is a straight shot down to the final bit of the game. We are in the single digits. There's 3 members down, and Mar holds it down. The Beautiful Boys take it back to a 3-2 set, and they are moving on into the semifinals.
Oh my goodness. Insane last few games of that set. Beautiful Boys just doing such a nice job capitalizing in a big way off of the picks they had in mid. That 1 wipe was just turned into a 100-0 push in the blink of an eye.
Gosh, you gotta really pay attention to when the stars align for things. And so Beautiful Boys looking so good in their 3-2 victory over Datkid Left us. What a run. Moving on to the winners bracket finals, and they're going up against Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. So Mickey Mouse Clubhouse has kind of been waiting in this bracket for them to come on and push through, and they're looking forward to try to take another fight to be had, because I mean that Beautiful Boys deserve to be in this fight against Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, because Mickey Mouse Clubhouse has had a pretty awesome run today. in making their way into the finals. And so beautiful boys definitely want to be here. That is going to be a really interesting matchup to watch, and entertaining. But looking in at the replay, this was the ending push here, because they kept the tower in position here, Fusion. That's what I appreciate so much about this, is that, yeah, they lost it there for a little bit. They had to move up, they had to move back, they had to regroup, kind of had to be careful. However, all you have to do is just tap that tower to just keep it in position, to not let it move backward, to not really lose any headway. And I think that beautiful boys did so well at that when it really counted in those final moments. They kept having to like jump on, jump off, replace it, try to throw some strikes out. Okay, I need to back up here. Oh, all three of you are down. Mar was the only one left alive, that they stayed alive long enough to get that jump in there. It's just so much thinking on the fly, but I mean, just all of it leading to success.
Yeah, absolutely. Just you could kind of see the way that they weren't like diving all in. They moved super aggressively, but then they kind of backed up and held their ground when they needed to. They kind of checked in on the tower, made sure that, you know, it was holding its position, giving time for their team to jump back in, and just a perfectly executed push all around, netting them a spot in winners finals.
Yeah, that's gotta be feeling good. You gotta ride that momentum, beautiful boys. Do it for all of the beautiful boys out there. For all of them. You're staking your claim in Proving Grounds 31 for all the pretty boys out there. So we appreciate you. We see you. We see you. We recognize you. So wish you the best of luck in moving on to the winner's final round. However, Fusion, I believe for today that does it for you and I. And we're going to be passing the mic over for winners finals. But if I were to be looking around on the internet and not hanging out with you at Sea Battle like we got to do earlier, which was so much fun, where could I find you?
You can find me occasionally at @deepaffusion_. And if people were looking for you, not on the internet, but in person, they were hunting you down actively, where could they find you? No, where could they find you on the internet?
Well, on the internet, you can find me at Safirea. That's 2 P's, 2 A's, at Safirea on Twitter, and maybe Blue Sky, I guess, if you want to. I don't know. I don't really talk about it. But you can find me in Fusion running Sea Battle sometimes, which is our local land here up in Seattle, Washington. Or you can find us both at LTC in just a couple of weeks. Running the streets of Austin, Texas, and eating some barbecue, perhaps, and seeing all of our pals down at the fire pit. So you can see both of us there as well. But we appreciate you, Inky and Rice, for being our streamers today. I appreciate being on the mic with you today, Fusion. And IPL, shout out to IPL for having us here on Proving Grounds. We appreciate it. Up next on the mic, you're going to have Popcud and the Magic 8 Ball, so don't go anywhere. We love you, we thank you, and Winners Finals coming up next.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Proving Grounds number 31. I am Popgun, joined by the Magic 8 Ball, and we got a doozy of a set for you guys coming up. I'm assuming two team names that will mean absolutely nothing to anybody in the next couple of days. Mickey Mouse Club, Mickey spelled incorrectly, versus Beautiful Boys. And Magic, joining me today, has already promised to have the most unhinged commentary block of all time. That was the correct exact quote you just gave me, right?
That's the exact quote, yes.
Okay.
I am ready to go completely off the rails, if you so permit me.
Okay, well let's set some define off the rails.
I mean, I'm ready to talk everything controversy. I'm ready to give it one good final salute to everyone.
Okay, that's fine. And now keep in mind, I answer to nobody except for Hoenn and God, and I'm not even sure if the latter is a real thing. So, I mean, and Inky doesn't pay attention to, or not Inky. Hoenn doesn't pay attention to Proving Grounds. Maybe Grace does though. Grace might. Did you say something? Grace signs my paychecks now too, so that might be a problem.
You guys get paychecks?
Yeah, always have been. Why do you think we haven't had a major in a while? Where do you think all that money's going? Exactly. Daycare ain't cheap, baby.
Well, yeah, no, that's the real fucking truth, isn't it? I literally told myself I wasn't gonna curse. I told myself I wasn't gonna do it. We're just gonna cut it out.
We haven't even gotten. This is winners finals, by the way.
Okay.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
That means nothing to me.
Okay, well, are you aware of these special, quote unquote, special rules for this?
Yes, okay. It is no blue pencil.
Yes.
One Zuka, one cooler.
No, we don't have a cooler restriction.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now it appears like we don't really need it because nobody's done double cooler.
Yeah.
So far, and I don't even know if you would ever want to do that in general. I mean, you wouldn't want to do it before because pencil was double cooler, basically.
Yeah.
But still, that's like two specials already gone, devoted to just one thing.
Yeah, but cooler's just. I don't know if you saw FLC's analysis of cooler on Blue Sky, but it is. I mean, it's exactly what I've been saying for probably a year at this point. That cooler.
What's the synopsis of that?
The cooler in its current state is just absolutely twisting the game in proportions that we haven't even seen, not even by armor. Just completely changing how risk and reward works in the concept of Splatoon. And because of that, it just turns into something completely unrecognizable from what we've seen before. But luckily, we're not seeing two coolers, because, I mean, yeah, that is not going to give you enough offensive presence.
I mean, you're just kind of sacrificing too many other specials. Not that I think, like, oh, we really need to have Killer Whale, but yeah, you'd rather have the Gal. Than, like, I mean, what would even double soda even look like? You're like double in-zap, or like in-zap and a try, maybe?
Zap pencil, usually.
Well, I mean, right? If, like, pencil doesn't exist.
If pencil doesn't exist, then there's not really a reason to run it.
Maybe like zap and try if you're on like pump
zap
back
edit
flounder or something.
Zap heavy edit.
Well, I mean, I want more killing power.
I like zap heavy edit actually. I think that could be fine, to be honest, right? Like, at the end of the day, cooler is just a way to make sure that you will always hold the line, and as long as you have one person in the backfield always making sure that the frontliners are going to for sure be right back at where that backliner is within 10 seconds, maybe less, like, that's so worth it. How is that ever not worth it?
And that's exactly why pencil's banned. It's just like, it should not, like, your support special shouldn't be coming from your anchor that can paint the snot out of the map. Now, we do see, oddly enough, we do see both charger variants in this game right now. You have the vanilla with the vacuum, and you got the ink strike with the fire fin, and Buzzcut's going to be getting the zone here, or the checkpoints. We're going to have a tie be broken pretty shortly, but you get rid of pencil, and and now you got a bunch of players who are still like, okay, well, I still kind of like Charger, and it was always good. I just could never do it because my teammates were always like, can you just run Pencil?
Well, yeah, because Pencil, like, and this is something that I saw recently. That's really fast. That was really fast. Good to go. But Pencil can basically paint at the range of either. Did you know that? Did you know that it, like, barely outranges, or, like, barely underranges, like, Splatter Scope?
Underrange is Splatter Scope, but you're saying it paints almost as much as you do?
Yes.
Like the paint is farther than what the actual shot is?
Yeah. That's the thing that can happen.
I was not aware of that.
That's what happens with is that what happens with Zap? Yes, I think it's Zap that like it paints so much further than you expected. It's a really weird thing, but that's why like some frontliners like Splash have a really hard time dealing with things like Zap, because even though their offensive ranges are like just about the same, their paint ranges are different.
You know, that is something I've never really considered.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference in the fight because
Inky, close the private battle. Head over to the training room.
Yeah, we're about to let
We're gonna run some tests here. We're gonna the troop proving ground gonna start. If we could get this pesky Rainmaker. Oh, by the way, are you familiar with with how they changed this right here?
I've been waiting to see this. This is actually really, really good.
Okay.
I really like how they changed this.
So Fishy just got like 30 points right there.
Yeah.
By swimming, whereas before it was much more narrow and you had to walk through it because it was uninkable. And my thought is, I don't like that adjustment. I feel like the uninkable path right there was fair. That was the more slower, difficult route to go through. And if you wanted like quick chunk point home run, you had to go right in front of the enemy spawn, but your reward was quicker points. Yeah, so I don't really know if I think that's an upgrade.
I think differentiating this from Scorch is important, though, right? Because on Scorch, you basically have that completely, almost unpassable choke point, right? Whereas now, this is something that you can burn your way through like this.
Oh,
great trip strikes from the Charger. Who is that? Mar? Sure.
That is Mar, yeah.
Whoever
but
that
again,
is.
like right there, like that push just collapsed. Now, like both teams did it, but still, like that would have been a lot slower in the old Undertow. Whereas they just went for it and they got all the way down to 9 because they could just swim right through it all.
Right, and that's fine, right? I think that creates a lot more interesting gameplay, right? Because now it's not like, oh, well, we can just sit back and wait for them to get to the uninkable point. Like, no, you have to prevent them at the door if you want to stop them at the door. As we're getting into overtime now, and this Rainmaker is turning around trying to deal with the Slosher. Spec. Again, whoever that is. I know none of these players, by the way. The Fishy apparently is a god with the Rainmaker, though.
That is, you're going to get familiar with these players.
Okay.
Over the course of today. You and me both, because...
yeah.
None of them are going to low tide city, is what you're saying.
Right, exactly. That would be a surprise to me.
Fishy does have 3 down on the enemy side, but they are about to explode themselves.
Yeah,
that is a delayed wipeout.
That's enough time. And with the Zook over on the top left, this is possible.
With the vacuum. The vacuum.
Oh my god. That's so disciplined from Fishy on every single front, waiting for the team to get the specials. Hold on. Okay. Maybe I'm not giving credit where credit is most certainly due. Who are these players?
This is Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Lexi Fishy, Mickey themselves, and Buzzcut.
AKA Phoenix is what it looks
this
like.
is your number 1 seed, by the way, which is based off of your
the powers.
Yeah, the send out powers for the current season. That doesn't. It's not 100%. There was one team that I looked at, and it didn't look like they had played much this season. But I was like, okay, you guys are not like the 30th best team in this tournament. I'm going to bump you up personally.
Oh,
but yeah,
okay.
it's so these are some strong play. Like technically, mathematically, these are the strongest players in the tournament.
That's so interesting. That's
Not
so interesting. I actually really like that. I don't know if you remember, about 2 years ago now, like December of 2021, January of 2022, I wanted to create the SETA is the acronym that I had created for the Splatoon Esports and Tournament Association, where I wanted to get all the organizers and say like, hey, we're gonna get a rating system and we're gonna have every single tournament fill into that rating system.
Yeah, I remember that. The problem with it was inputting the data, right?
Yeah.
Which Sindao basically solves by everything being on that site now.
Right.
So basically just like streamlines the idea that you had. And you know, before that, there was the and I think you were one of the voters or organizers for this, the top 50 every month.
Yeah.
But that was basically just like eyeball test kind of thing.
I mean, it was a lot of I think it was panel based, right? Because it was a bunch of people voted.
It's like how college sports works. You get your
power ranking
committee or whatever, and these are the top 25 for the week. It doesn't mean that like mathematically this is what it is, but it's just, you know, there's some still logic to it.
And of course, before that was Splat Stats, but a lot of probably none of the teams playing in this tournament know what that is, which is hilarious.
How about opening Gambit on your Gal to go with your Range Blaster and the Kraken with sub power up on those Beacon Elixir.
I love that theory crafting and team building. And all right, so here's where I'm going to go off the rails. Okay. I want to talk to specifically the crew of people who I know are just vehemently against any kind of weapon bans. What other tournament are you going to see compositions like this in? I want to see exact proof. I want to see the numbers. I want to see the data. But like, because this is what I've been seeing all day from this tournament is stuff like range blasters, stuff like is all this unique stuff. And I know we saw a lot of range at Worlds, etc. Madness doing a very good job of showing that off. But like, really, we've been seeing the full run of the mill, the full breadth of weapon types, of compositions, of styles of team play, because this tournament format allows it. And I want to understand why that's not something that we can celebrate and rally around as a community, because it's actually allowing people to play this game in a way that is so much more strategically and tactically interesting, right? Like, look at how this team is playing right now with the wall and the range blaster around it, and the beacon Kraken with the E-leader that's able to try and push this tower as far as you can. If you're going against double Zuka shot, this composition doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And we're getting to see such beautiful gameplay as these players are clearly showing right now because of that.
By the way, there's no Zuka in the lobby at all right now.
Yeah.
Which, you know, could just be a symptom of the map that they're on, map no combo or whatever. Like, they could allow to use at least one. You just dropped a lot right there, and I was like trying to make notes. I was like, okay, how is that? But I would at least give Mickey Mark the opportunity to see if they're going to close this out, because it looks like they're in a really good position to do so.
Yeah,
2-0 and keep their undefeated streak in this tournament going on. Buzzpet, how do you not get that kill, please? What?
Target selection.
Did Mar really just saying I'm alive? Oh wait, that explains that. Okay.
That looks like a GGO next I've ever did see one.
So Mar probably didn't survive that engagement with Buzzcut. Instead, just got Buzzcut altogether. That is past the replay point, so this is going to count. So any more perfect opportunity to go off script, as I think it's safe to assume this game is over. All right, first off, range blaster. They're only picking it for the main weapon. There's no way that they actually think Wave Breaker is good. And I'm assuming when the custom comes out, whatever weapon unless they give that thing just like line marker spam or something, I feel like the next range blaster is going to be really popular. Now, suction bomb on tower, good. My point being, range blaster in general is just really strong in this game. There's no armor to get rid of it. If everyone's got soda, you need something that just constantly mows people down. You don't have to hit directs, and you can be rewarded with it. Especially if you got like good chip damage comps going on. So like range blaster in general has just always been good. Even if like the main or like the wave breaker special hasn't been really fantastic.
I think wave breaker gets a bad rap, but that's just me.
Because it doesn't paint.
Okay.
And it doesn't.
You know what else didn't paint? Echolocator, and that was like such a strong special weapon back in the day. It's about the utility that you can get.
You know, at the time. Now your players are better at understanding the location of the enemy team without needing Echolocator popped at all the time. Some of the weapons are forced to play, or not forced to play, but they want to play.
I think it's just really good. Like if you have like a wave breaker and then like a trip strike in the same spot, like there's how do you effectively dodge that, right? Because you have to swim away. You're gonna get hit by the wave breaker at least once if you're trying to swim away from a trip strike spot that you're underneath, right? Like there is an overwhelmingness that can happen. Somebody forgot to let a player back in the lobby.
Back in, yeah.
I don't know. I think it has some use, but we can argue on that any time of the year. But I'm just
making notes because I don't want to make sure I just don't miss everything.
That's fair.
Right there. Okay, so you brought up where else would you see that? I'm sure you're excluding low ink because we see ridiculous stuff there all the time.
Yeah, but collegiate, low level, like that exists in its own ecosystem, basically,
yes,
right? Like it has its own metas, and that's what people don't realize, right? Is that literally because it's in such its own bubble at this point that the meta game has to be different. Because what the strongest players are playing is different from what the strongest players in the top level are playing. So because of that, the strategies that form to counteract those most popular strategy that most people are losing to is different from the strategies that most people are losing to up in the top area. And whether or not that's because of the level disparity doesn't really matter. That's just how metagames work, right? Because we throw around that terminology, meta, but the reality of it is that it is an understanding and reaction to who's doing the best, really, right? Because, I mean, in CCA, for example, right, the collegiate world, there's a carbon player and a wiper player that are doing absurdly well in the top of that ecosystem. And because of that, there are a lot of strategies and a lot of compositions and things being devoted to completely trying to break that mold, right? To break these very unorthodox playstyles. And because of that, the weapons that you see from the broader group are a lot different. And Mar, I think, DC'd again?
Yeah, it's not looking good for Mar or the beautiful boys in general. So they technically haven't used a replay yet, so they could use it right here. And it's not like winners finals is slowing down anything because it doesn't impact the speed of the tournament's going to last as long as losers bracket does.
Yeah.
So we're not like in no rush to make sure this final game. I mean, we're going to get it in, but we're not going to be like, well, that's it. You're disqualified from the tournament. You're slowing things down here. Big L1. But yes, you're basically saying with things like the collegiate scene and skill cap tournaments, because of the environment it's in, you are allowed to not get away with not using the meta, even though the teams that have been consistently vying to win have been pretty much going meta as of late. You see a lot. Oh, go on.
That's because the term that we have for meta doesn't work down there, right? Like,
so what is meta? So meta is like the optimal way to win and or
No.
like is seen as like the optimal way to win at something as it currently stands.
Really, the metagame is that's like half correct. It is the current, because the meta, quote unquote, isn't about what exactly is used. A definition of a metagame is the strategies that are employed most often and the strategies that arise because of the most often strategy, right? Or sometimes it's not even most often. Sometimes it's just the strategy that is seen as the strongest within that ecosystem, right? So if you have a really strong Carbon player and a bunch of other people see that this Carbon is strong and they're like, I'm gonna play that because I think that it's strong because we've seen this team get a bunch of results because of it, then the meta of that ecosystem is going to be playing Carbon, right? And developing that. And then the counter strategies that arise because of it, the off meta or the counter meta is things that are good against Carbon. Right? Do you see how that's different from just, oh, this is obviously the strongest thing in the game?
Yes. Carbon currently being kind of a niche thing where, like, in the right hands of somebody who's put a lot of time into it is going to get a value out of it. Like, when people think of top Carbon, they think of Volti. Or, you know, shout outs to Eevee, who was in chat, who's been using Carbon. I don't know if Eevee still uses Carbon anymore or not, but that was a weapon that player specifically grinded.
Right.
Through SAC and low ink back in the day. Doesn't necessarily mean it's something somebody else could pick up and just instantly use and be immediately successful with it. Whereas something like where we're currently standing as like the ideal comp of today of Pencil and Zuka, specifically coming from a splatter shot, aren't like the most. I mean, it's not like anyone's going to pick it up and you're going to be the next .q, right? Like that's not how that works. But it's still, it's still easier for somebody who wants to get into what would be the optimal thing to just pick up those kinds of weapons as opposed to something like a Carbon that would require you to A, figure out how it works, and B, build a team around the idea. Like Alliance Rogue was built around the idea of activating the Carbon.
Yeah,
so it's not like you could just take Volti and plug them into a different team and just be like, do your Carbon thing. Like, how are you guys going to work with it?
I mean, but then, so what I'm arguing is that, let's say people see that Volti is doing well in Carbon, right? Then all of a sudden, you see other top teams pouring resources into figuring out, okay, can we work with Carbon? Can one of our players play Carbon? And if not, do we need to come up with something around Carbon, right? Do we need to come up with a specific counter to the Carbon or come up with a strategy that is superseding the Carbon? That is how metagames work. That is how metas develop. It is because of that interplay between what has been strong in results and what teams are trying to do to either counteract that or overcome that with a stronger strategy.
By the way, do you remember Luples? I remember seeing this player at the first Riptide that had Splatoon 3 and thinking like, wow, this player's like incredibly underrated. I hope I could get them on Destiny troops at some point. Now Destiny troops isn't a thing anymore.
Right.
R.A.T. have been moved on. I think they were using Blaster at that Riptide.
I vaguely remember the name. Now that you mentioned it, I do vaguely remember that name being something that I've picked up once. But
Luples or Lappy that I'm thinking of? Oh, you know what? That might be a different person.
Might be a different person. Either way, this brush has been pretty solid.
Yes.
No, for sure.
Yes, they have. No Carbon to be seen. By the way, good Carbon map. Not that it
Is this a good Carbon map?
not bad.
Yeah, I mean, if I was being a little funny, I'd pick it here, but I wouldn't, like, say this is like the carbon match.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the one. I think you could just probably get away with it. There's also been this. So the rule set that we have here for this Proving Grounds is not something that is like we think everybody should adopt this rule set. We're just trying it to see what happens, and we'll like, make adjustments for people. So the rule is. It's because there's a lot of people who would say we should ban Splattershot, which is this is an interesting set for that because we've only had one Splattershot so far, and we didn't see a Splattershot last game at all, no Zuka at all. But people are saying if you limit it to just one Zuka and don't ban Splattershot specifically, then things like Carbon are going to go out of style because why would you run a Carbon over a Splattershot?
I don't know. I can see that. I can understand where they're coming from with that. I just don't. I don't think that Carbon players will just give up because of that.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean? Like a Carbon player goes, all right, I guess we have to have the shot. Our shot player just play Zuka instead of me, like, even though that's, like, been our entire strategy for a year plus at this point. Like, no, they're gonna keep playing Carbon. And if people are playing Carbon specifically because it's a good second Zuka weapon, then they're gonna switch it off anyways, just like they would switch it off if it didn't become strong in the first place, right? Like, I don't know, that doesn't seem like a fair argument to me to make. In terms of, oh, well, this isn't gonna innovate, right? This is just gonna restrict compositions further. Like, it's the same argument as competition begets innovation. Because it doesn't. Right? Like, it's... I don't know. That's not a fair argument to make in my mind.
I didn't really buy into that either. I mean, I'm not sitting here advocating like, oh, one Zuka versus just banning shot in general is the right play to go, because I honestly don't know. That's why we're trying things out. But my thought was the same. Like, if you're going to use Carbon, then like you're going to find ways to get that paint somewhere else. Anyways, like oh, by the way, Beautiful Boys do get the lead here.
Yeah, that was a
late
great
into this
play.
game. This is Mickey Mouse Clubhouse has yet to lose a game this entire turn, but they
This
almost lost
Slosher
game
player
one.
is definitely someone I'm keeping my eyes on. Oh, look at that! Please react, by the way.
Okay, but here's the thing. You know they're not going to get another one for a bit. Now, like, Shot can get it pretty quickly, but still, like, you don't have to be like, okay, we weathered that first Zuka, but we know the second one's coming in a couple of seconds because they're chaining them. Like, you don't have to worry about chaining things, which makes things a little bit better right now. I don't think they're going to get... Yeah, I think we're going to a game 4.
Yeah, this is...
So... Okay, but with the Carbon thing, I don't think... Yeah, if you're going to use Carbon in a one Zuka only comp, like, you're just going to do it. Like if I had... And I keep going back to Omega and Eevee, because that's who I grew up playing Carbon against. Like, if I had one of those players on my team, and they told me I want to do Carbon instead of Shot, I'm going to be like, go right ahead, because you kick ass with that thing. I'm all for it. By the way, this is going to count despite whatever's going on here with this nonsense. Thank you for taking this screenshot.
Yeah, great screenshot. Shoutouts to the producer.
Shoutouts to Inky. I mean, out of nowhere here to help keep this stream going here. What was I talking about? Carbon? Oh, it's okay, so the mindset of the players today. And this might not be talking about top level, but more so like the +3 and beyond category. Is that when you're building a team, a lot of these teams are getting, or projects or whatever, are getting pigeonholed into the idea of we need the token pencil player, and then we need like an army of splatter shots who can sometimes flex to a gal if they feel like it. Or if our pencil wants to go to a red pencil this game, that we have somebody who can switch over to Zap to give us soda. Like it seems like the players themselves are so pigeonholed into what a team is supposed to look like at a certain level that they're not open to the idea of something like a Carbon one trick or a Splat Dually player, or anything like that. Unless they're just like, oh well, you kicked my butt in a Syndaku set, so now I'm convinced that this can work out. So I think that's where the mindset of it is. It's like, well, if you just limit Zuka, then like all of us who are having difficulties being, like off, quote unquote, like not top tier weapon that we want to use,
Right?
Just kind of be forced out by the hive mind that is
like
team building.
Like, okay, I'm gonna draw a very funny conclusion, I think, because I feel as though most people who play Splatoon are fairly, I don't want to say left-leaning politically, but definitely have those kinds of understandings. I see a lot of talk about stuff around those things in that framing when I talk to people who play Splatoon, because we're a younger crowd, because we're a more open-minded crowd. Right? You have the the socially liberal, fiscally conservative crowd, right? Who, want to have all these, good things within their communities, and for there not to be any judgment or prejudice or anything like that. But then they go and say that free market capitalism is going to completely be the thing that saves the economy, right? It's the same thing here. Some of these players are absolutely theory craftingly and strategically liberal, but then organizationally conservative, where they don't want anything to be restricted in this open market of.
Okay, there, Inky's back into. Hello.
Hi.
So what? Are you back or? Okay. Can you?
Are we live?
What about in Splatoon? Can you get into the game?
Chat, are we live?
The stream is up.
The stream is up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where I got cut off in all of that.
Wait, can they hear us right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so our mics are live. Okay. So Inky, just so you're aware, I went ahead and told them just to play on. Okay. Yeah, so we're just gonna let that set play out. Something happened on our internet just exploded. Which is just the sign of how the day has been going on. And we don't know what part we got cut out, because Magic was going on like a semi-political rant, and I'm not gonna lie, I was Hello, friends, and welcome back, we think, to the 7th stream today of Proving Grounds number 31. I am Popgun, joined by Magic 8 Ball, and we're here, despite what the higher-ups are trying to do.
A liberal agenda.
Nothing stops this train. Which, by the way, Magic, you just put out a tweet talking about how we're trying to silence you and whatnot. And you just told me you hope nobody takes that out of context. There's 3 stages of a Splatoon tweet.
Okay.
The first one is your actual friends who will look at it and immediately get what take you're trying to go with and will go with it. And then the next stage in the 100 to 200 like category is where you get people who don't understand what's going on and they're confused about it. They're willing to ask questions. What? Huh? What? And then the 300 to plus range is where you get people who don't understand the context and are angry about it. And they're going to be like, why does this even exist? I can't believe they're trying to do this. Magic, you don't even know who Magic is, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, once it gets to the Chara audience, it's Jover for me.
Well, that's the problem with Chara's tweets, is that they reach that peak in 5 minutes. By the time you saw the tweet, you're like, am I even the target audience anymore? It's crazy
right.
with Chara.
So the point that got us here, that I was trying to make, is that restrictions are going. Chara, no, nothing about
nothing about
Chara. We're making an example. No, don't worry. Nothing you did. Nothing about you.
I just joined because I heard politics was being brought up. I didn't know anything about what I did. What's up? Hey, look at hey, wait, you should know who these players are.
I see Niso. Oh, hold on. Let me pull up the bracket.
Miner, Krim, Sorella.
Yeah. Oh, and Magic. Oh, okay. Yeah. My imposter that's gonna take over my namesake when I'm no longer here.
Correct.
Lovely.
Well, shout out to Sorella using the Sorella Brella. Formerly of Squid Killers.
Ooh,
I've seen a lot of players. My wife just corrected. Lupples was from Marine Melody.
That's yeah.
If I recall correctly, we kicked Lupples basically off of Marine Melody by saying, Marine Melody, you guys can play Loic, but Lupples cannot. That's where I was getting them confused with Lappy. Yeah, they must have been a lot of players. Anyways, if you're just now tuning in, this is a weapon restriction tournament, which has basically been driving the conversation Magic and I have been having. You can't use blue pencil, although we haven't seen a lot of red pencil, if not at all. And that doesn't mean different teams sign up for this tournament they would use red pencil, but we haven't seen a lot of pencil in general. You can only use 1 Zuka as well. Both teams have 1 Zuka, so we were talking about how the conversation or the narrative of, well, if you just limit comps to just 1 Zuka, then everyone's just going to use Splatter Shot, and that means things like Carbon are going to die off. Another example would be this tent that you're using right now.
Yeah, this is a perfect example. Right? We have a tent player that does really well with Sorella Tent, and Sorella Tent can actually farm a good amount of Zukas anyways. If we have a tent player, we're going to let them play tent. It's not rocket science, people. We're not shutting people down.
Yeah.
We're restricting the amount of Zugas that people can have.
And you're talking about from the mindset of, well, you're going to use Splatter Shot anyways because it paints really well and it kills really well and it gets buffed every other patch for some reason. So you know it's only going to get better. Okay, so if you're going to use something like a tent paints, I mean, nothing, well, I shouldn't say nothing, but it's really easy to paint with a Splatter Shot, so I get that. And it's good at killing people.
But a tent gives you so much other value, right? It's not even an equivalent thing, right? It's not equivalent. It's a
completely different play style.
Exactly. You can't just say that because we're not running one thing, that another thing won't be run. It's like it boggles my mind, because especially when a lot of the people that I've seen calling for not restricting things like Double Zuka are making this argument, but then also have the ideas about, oh, well, you know, you can use so many different things, and I don't understand why players aren't using X, Y, and Z when it does so many other things, and they have all of these fantastic points and good conversation topics, and then as soon as it comes to this, it just completely goes out the window, and I just don't know where the false equivalency is.
So it's basically the narrative of you don't want the rules to force creativity, which is, you know, exactly the point. The point of the rules is not to force creativity. The point of the rules is pencil's broken.
Yeah.
Why are we allowing people to play this? And like Double Zuka, which by the way, breakfast time is, even though it's getting closer to dinner time, it's going to take the dub right here.
No, I don't think so. Oh, wait, hold on, Astro. Going for 3! Let's go 52 Deco. This weapon is actually really, really strong. I have found, actually.
So that's another, I mean, that's a completely different conversation.
Yeah, that's a completely different conversation.
Because there's been calls for that thing to come back. But no, I mean, as far as we're concerned with IPL, if both teams are cool with it, then yeah. But if one team is not, then like, yeah, we're not gonna mess with that. Which is, you know, well, I won't get into that here. I think our stance is pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty solid on that.
Screen is a completely different issue.
But when you can play it, it is really good. And it's a pretty good counter to well, maybe not like a full counter, but at least something you can throw at the pencil.
Yeah. I've noticed that it is a very good anti-range option, right? Just like the big walls that you can get in Valorant, right? Allow you to run things like shotguns on Viper and whatnot. So I think it's really cool. I think it's really neat, and you know,
so yeah,
it's unfortunate that Nintendo is just shoving things down our throat.
So it was asked in chat: Is Kraken banned in Clan Blitz? Originally, yes, it was, but Nintendo addressed it in the most recent patch, so we immediately dropped it before the tournament started. So
yeah.
And which is funny because you can still you can, it's not cheese, but what you can still do is
There's some interesting things you can
use Kraken, hang around the basket, and as your Kraken disappears, then jump to that player. Although there is a window to where you can kill that player before they're jumpable, I believe. So it's a Kraken strategy as much, not so much a Kraken. The difference is I can't just pop Kraken. Like if this was Art Academy and I'm standing under my own spawn, I can pop Kraken, go all the way to the enemy base, and you can jump to that Kraken player, and there's not really much you can do about it, except try to just base race, essentially. So that got semi-fixed, so we dropped the ban. Which brings up another point of like, okay, well, if you ban things, when do you unban them?
Yes.
They're not always as cut as dry as like that, but that one was so simple. It's like, okay, Nintendo fixed the thing we said was broken, so let's just get rid of it.
It's a very, like, that we can have a lot of intelligent conversations about bans and when to unban them, if we're allowed to have those conversations in the first place. Right?
Oh, yeah, yes.
That's the entire reason why I've been so adamant about trying to push these forwards, is so that we can have these conversations in the first place, right? Things are never going to be perfect the first time that we do things. Instead, I think it's more important to try and fail doing something and then try and course correct later, rather than just sitting on our hindquarters and letting this game fall into oblivion in terms of the balancing and the frustration that players are facing, rather than actually working towards something that can improve things for everyone, the players, the commentators, the spectators, the organizers, instead of just trying to work around this mess that we've been dealt with, right? Like, there's so much that we can do rather than just sitting here and being afraid of failure. And that's what I really want to tell people, want to try and help people understand, is that we do not have to be perfect with this the first time. We just need to do something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of what this tournament is. Like, again, we're not if we did weapon bans next month. By the way, how did Miner not just? I think Miner eventually did just went through that wall. 40 damage, by the way, with that thing now. Thank you for buffing that. That's the last thing that thing needed. But yeah, like this isn't. There's not anything you should glean from this tournament. Like there shouldn't be like, oh well, this is what should be every tournament going forward. Like that. No, that's not the point. The point was just to show people you can ban stuff from a tournament and people will still play it and watch it. Like you can do that. You can. Like there's nothing, literally nothing that's stopping you from doing that. I'm not even at a point where I think things need to be banned right now or not. Like just because the new patch is so good. But like at some point in the future, you're going to have the same kind of conversation again at some point, and then you can look back and say, well, we changed things in Proving Grounds and the world didn't end. So.
I believe, and I think other teams would believe, other players would believe. That's a very good push. I love how they're using the wall in combination with everything on the side of fighting strong. I mean, these players are so solid on the side of fighting strong. These pushes are just so seamless. Beautiful play from them.
This is a best of 3, by the way. We're in losers semifinals. So
this is do or die.
Yeah, so breakfast time here, who will get the lead because they're going to jump in with this power slam a little bit shorter. Anyway. They win this one, they're moving on to the losers finals. As Astro being the last player left alive, you don't want to get a wipeout when you're making the push. 2 minutes left to go. This map's going to turn green. Magic jumping in though, and getting a double with the Tri Nouveau.
Nice stuff. Nice stuff all around. This is high level gameplay, by the way. Now that we don't have Kraken going around messing everything up, this is really fun to watch.
I mean, the Kraken thing on this map was just comical.
Yeah.
At so many points. I mean, it's just not what Splatoon is in my mind.
Yes. Yes.
Now, like, that's open to... Well, what does Splatoon mean? That makes no sense, Bob. Yeah, I know that, but I mean, like... And it's also kind of hilarious because it seems like we got to relearn how to play Clan Blitz. It's like you're waking up out of hibernation, and you're like, wait, what? Grenaded bushes?
Yeah.
Like, what?
We can't jump into basket? How do clam?
Which sucks because Clan Blitz is like, in my opinion, it was the best mode.
Yeah.
And I know, like, some people would agree, a lot would just say, whatever.
Yeah, before Kraken came back, a lot of people were arguing, because I remember a lot of these conversations, that Clams was the most fair, most competitively interesting mode. Like, some people were even favoring it over Zones. I know
a lot of people were not happy with Zones.
Yeah, exactly.
This game. Zones was not popular at the start of Splatoon 3, competitively. And nowhere near as what it was in Splatoon 2.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that was huge. I think that would have been huge for the game if Kraken didn't come back. Right? As a lot of people, and I remember vividly that a lot of people were very upset about my take about Kraken coming back, but it's literally an invincibility special. Like, it never should have come back.
Yeah.
What is the wings to get that clam in? That's so funny.
By the way, I think Breakfast Time is about to steal this one right here, because they're just going to go in with the 10.
No, I don't think so, actually. I think Storm's about to go crazy right now.
Well,
no, look at this. No,
what are you watching right now? The game's already done on my end.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm watching.
Are you watching the stream, like from Twitch.com?
Yeah.
You're commentating from the Twitch. Well, I got some news for you. Storm is not going to do something. Storm's been dead for a minute and brought this time and stuff winning. I'm guilty of that before as well.
Yeah.
Because the feed we're watching live in Discord is like 15 seconds ahead of what is actually being broadcasted out the Twitch. So it's hold on, let them cook. The game's already over. So
you can tell how long it's been since I've done this.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's fine. You're having fun.
I'm having a good time. Everyone's having a good time, I think. Right,
Yes.
chat? Right?
Breakfast Time's having a great time.
I feel like it.
Fighting strong. And are going on to losers finals. By the way, as what? As the 13th seed. So
Interesting.
what do send out points know? Obviously they're all completely wrong.
Obviously.
Can I just say how great it is to not have to do anything the hour before the tournament starts? You know, we can take registration up until round 1.
Really, just because like you don't have to do all that crazy seating and stuff.
We don't have to do anything. So on send out, all you
That's
do is
awesome.
hit a button and it auto seats for you. Again, you can go back and like look over things and manually like seed anybody that you want. But since you don't have to spend time doing that, and like check-in is just like sign up and check in at the same time, basically at that time. You can just sign up and play in. And it's not like it's not like you got to worry about who's playing because you have the accounts automatically linked to everybody with all their information right there. So it's great. Yeah, it's great. And you can't come back and say, oh, the TLs didn't believe in us. They gave us the wrong seed. Like, no, like you literally earned the seed that you got. Doesn't mean you have to play to it, but
no, and I Sendo.Inc is so foreign to me. I feel like I'm becoming one of those boomers where I'm like, what is Sendo? How does this work? As I'm trying to look through the bracket stuff. I mean, it's like any other tournament site, but
it takes time.
It's so interesting.
You won't like Battlefied now. They got ads like all over the place. Yeah, and they're like the pop-up kind too.
No,
like, I'm trying
shut the front door.
No, like I'm trying to TO low ink, and I'm looking at a set, and I gotta close this ad that pops up in the top right corner first before I can look at it. It's like, oh my gosh. And now look, I get they need to make money, and we're like giving them 1,000 players every single month, and they're making like nothing off of that. So like I understand it, but like it's also diminishes the value of the entire tournament just because there's ads on that thing now.
Do you want to know why I haven't been involved recently?
I would assume several reasons.
Yeah, take your best guess.
Would anything have to do with socialism or capitalism? Just
Wow,
want to check that before we go too far. How far down the rabbit hole are we going to go here? Because the stream has been live for 20 minutes with 0 issues, and I don't want to jinx that.
Right, yeah, obviously. But
so if I had to guess, just gleaning off of what you've been saying on Blue Sky for the past year or so, just overall frustration with the hive mind of the community in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another component.
Okay. Well, that was my guess. So.
Yeah, that is a part of it. That is a part of it, and it's one of those things that I used to feed into so much, but now looking back on it, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, just spewing all of this stuff over Twitter and creating such a weird parasitic ecosystem off of one another, right? Like, does Twitter actually benefit anybody in the long term? Does all of our activity on Twitter actually benefit people in the long term?
Long term, no. I mean, it's a way for people to get ideas out, but I feel like ideas are.
Maybe.
I feel like the insane ideas get more attention or more, negative or whatnot gets more value put into it than like sane, logical, thought out things. Like it's a thing where like if everybody has a microphone,
all the voices drown out.
Who are you gonna listen to? You're gonna listen to the person who says the loudest, craziest things.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're like you might not agree with them, but you're still gonna listen to that person. And I feel like Twitter's algorithm.
Yeah,
and maybe it's always been that, but like supports that and wants things like that. And it's also like the context of what an original conversation could be about can be completely lost and twisted to something else. Now this is anything where you're typing out in text, you lose tone, you lose, you're limited to how much space you can put into a tweet and things like that. So it's like the message you can give can still be miscontrolled, like can be like twisted and spin into a different way to fit whatever narrative the person who's reading it wants the narrative for it to be. But even on like Twitter, like even my podcast, I've had things that I've said, and you would think like in that environment, I got my webcam on, like you can see the words coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And if you're confused about anything I'm trying to say, you can leave a message in chat to like, hey, can you clarify this? Or like, are you trying to say this? And I can go back and give more context is what I'm saying. Like you can tell the tone of the words. Like you can say, like, oh, well, he's really being sarcastic here. And like, oh, no, he's actually being like sincere and serious when he says something about this. Even in that context, there's still been many instances of something I've said being clipped out of context or twisted around, or not even. Popgun just said this on the Popcast, and I'll go back and be like, okay, well, what did I say? Can you post the clip? Well, I don't have the clip. Or actually, I went back and looked at it, and you actually did. It's like even in that medium, people can take the things you say directly out of your mouth and still contort it to fit whatever narrative they want. So yeah, like when you get rid of all those barriers and it's just text and it's this just giant website where we do the vast majority, if not all of our communication as a community on, then yes, that's where a lot of problems arise.
And like a lot of people argue that like, oh, well, we need Twitter to market things better. I don't know about IPL, and Inky or maybe somebody else on staff can clue me into this, but I've been looking at IPL, I've been looking at Splatlands, and I've been looking at like just anyone else who's trying to like market something on Twitter. It's not doing any better than just like any other regular post. Like it's really not helpful with marketing things anymore.
Show of people in chat. How many of you are here to see Mars get nice shots like that? Versus how many of you were here because somebody tweeted out something about Magic making political statements and you want to come and see what he was talking about? That maybe that'll be the indicator we're looking for right now. And,
I'm curious on that.
Breakfast Boys versus Beautiful Time. Breakfast Boys. The Beautiful
Breakfast
Boys. Hey, shout outs to the Breakfast Boys everywhere.
Beautiful time.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful time for breakfast, eh, boys?
Yeah. No react, please.
Breakfast time in control of the lead right now. Sorella forms to the tower. Okay, so where do you think what's the best advertising for Splatlands then? Like where do you feel like it gets the most? Is it just like word of mouth? Like YouTube videos, like Chara making a video about it or something?
Oh yeah, I think the majority of, and I think this has been true actually for a long time, but I think the majority of good marketing that can happen comes from good word of mouth, comes from content advertisements on other platforms, and that's just what I've observed over the years, that the majority of what we do is just, oh, these players already know what we're doing, they're already in our Discord, or they heard it from some content creator that they normally watch anyways, because people aren't spending as much time on Twitter anymore. Now that it's the cesspool that it is, it's just not useful. Like, people aren't spending as much time on it, or they're spending their time on it for different reasons other than to just get marketing and information. Great flank play by Lupples to really kickstart this for the Beautiful Boys. We're going to try and get this one back. Spec on the Slosher, and Mar are going to have 2 trip strikes, which are probably going to easily help clear this checkpoint, if I had to guess.
They'll blow the doors open for them to get a nice push going right here as we cross the halfway point for sure. Okay, so double splatter shot. Try Nouveau. So we still got the soda out of the try. Nice shot there by Mars. No real range other than the Rapid Blaster. I believe that is Sorella in the Rapid Blaster because they were using E-Jet earlier. By the way, shout out to Sorella. Again, like, what I recognize names from Blowing from, like, years in the past. And you've been seeing a lot of players will just pop up every now. Oh, look, I'm in losers finals of Proving Grounds now. Like, I've obviously improved a lot. Magic, I don't really remember from lowing that much. I think they were Div 5 this last season just because of the team they were playing with.
I feel like Magic is actually someone who has been around for like a long time. Because I remember seeing that tag like years and years ago, but I cannot tell you where. No, not myself.
Ink just chimed in saying, I thought you were talking about yourself.
Tag. And that there could be somebody else who had that tag, but I doubt it. Not with that specific spelling.
Spelling of it, yeah. Well, they haven't had the HI. By the way, what is the HI? Because the Sorella has it as well. I don't know what their actual team is.
I couldn't tell you. Again, I haven't attended.
That's fine. Like, okay, even if you were paying attention, tying this back to the conversation, where would you pay attention to? Like, they put out a tweet, hey, we're a new team.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
oh, okay. I didn't know you were saying. But it's okay. Is there an alternative? Like, is Blue Sky's not an alternative, right? It's not.
No, I think it's just gonna fall into the same issues at the end of the day.
Exactly. It's fine now because it's smaller. But if it were to just pick up speed, like maybe the algorithm changes, but it's still the same concept.
Yeah.
What, did they not get lead right there?
No, they got denied by Breakfast Time, who's been doing a superb job. Sorella on this Rapid Blaster doing it.
Helios is still a thing?
I guess so.
Wow. I mean, that makes sense. The tag and the play. I didn't know they were so cool. Alright. Anyways.
Specials are coming back online for Breakfast Time right now, so we're probably going to see a shutdown right here. Yeah, the cooler's going up, though I don't think anybody else got it other than Magic. Ah, okay, hold on. This could be something dangerous. We really need these trip strikes right now from Astro, but they need to be used at the perfect moment, or else this is not going to go well. And he might get rushed down before it's used anyways. Although 3 go down? I don't even know from where. I think John came in from the flank on that splatter shot and really just got it all up in their business.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
So yeah, this is where the benefit of looking at the Twitch stream live kind of plays in there, because we get like our own mini instant replay. Yeah, it looks like they just kind of collapse on the tower, Pincer did, from the right ankles. And I mean, Lupples did the right thing of like, I need to kill that T-Tech before they just auto win the game for us. And well, too bad everybody else got the splat and got the game. Game 1. Is this best of 5 losers finals? I think, yeah. So Breakfast Time. Beautiful time for some breakfast, boys. No, it's not. It's getting close to dinner time here.
It is very much close to dinner time, and I'm definitely gonna be making myself some food before I get back on the road.
Okay, so you say continuing this conversation because I'm having a good time, and I think chat is too because they haven't rided yet. About you stepping away from the scene, and doing less. How was so you go through Genesis? You're doing Riptide this weekend. You're very involved with Drexel Esports.
Yeah.
So like you've been still doing a lot. Arguably, you've been doing more these past 4 or 5 months than a lot of folks. Because I've heard stories of running LANs about how like people's parents are calling you.
Yes.
For different things, stuff like that. Like I joke all the time about how frustrating it is with lowing. Nobody's calling me on my personal phone. So like I don't have that issue.
Luckily it was not my personal phone. Luckily it was done over Discord, so there was still at least a little bit of distance there. But there was a minor who decided to attend Genesis, and her father wanted to volunteer. And so I had a conversation with him, and he was fantastic. He's actually the both of them are going to be coming to Low Tide. He's actually going to be competing this time. So
the dad is?
Yeah. How about
cool.
that? Right?
Yeah, that's but I guess I don't want to get in too much detail. It's like the whole family competing kind of thing.
No, I think it's just those two. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That is still pretty cool. Not a life goal for me in BJ, by the way. That is...
No, I know. Have you heard of? I think this was a conversation I had in a private Discord server, but I came up with the idea of creating the team's second generation, and it would be Popgun Jr., Sunflower.
Okay, so we have we could have like a 5-player roster
Plus
at this point.
sidekick. Yeah.
Plus, actually, there's actually more too.
Yeah. Baby
there's
Flower.
a lot. So and we'll get into that in a second because I think Beautiful Boys might just curb stomp right here. Except Luples just got eliminated at the scene, and Astro trying to force. Okay, I don't know about that screen placement.
Yeah. I guess it worked, right? Because it cut them off.
What do I know?
No. Okay, that was actually really good. Because when you think about it, like, the stack is the most important part of the map, right? Because, like, as soon as they blocked that off, now all of a sudden they have a free entryway to go through that little ramp that goes directly to zone rather than having to deal with anyone that's on the stack, because that's such a difficult position to deal with. Now all of a sudden they have to either go through the screen, aimlessly shoot through it, or go back to zone, in which case they're at a disadvantage now because the other team has already painted around and dove in. That was actually really smart.
So I think that mindset was the Charger's up there. Let's throw this so the Charger can't just deny us getting into mid, and then we'll fight the Charger in mid where things are more wide open and they don't have the high ground Anakin kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe that was the.
I think so.
So maybe that just worked out right there. But again, like that's another example of just like, well, like you get a special, you put it on the zone. Mm-hmm. But like, well, okay, well that maybe let's think outside the box. How can we use this in a different way to activate the zone, even though we're not like directly attacking it in a way. Regardless, Beautiful Boys back into control the zone. There's another one. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Pop right
my.
across him. Death by color blindness has to be the worst way to go, as Mars gets eliminated by the screen.
Death by eye impairment.
That is
crazy.
What a crazy special! Like, why would they think of that as something that would be fun? Like, you what players want to do? Blind each other. Like, that's a fun thing players want, right? Yeah.
I legitimately think it was a response to range, to really aggressive long-range options.
Yeah.
And this was their idea of counterplay.
If they just had it just do damage, or like something else, like something that didn't just like alter your own personal vision on the monitor, like would have been a nice thought out thing. It just wasn't really thought out. It's like,
yeah,
how would this
I agree.
happen? It just wasn't thought out at all. Regardless, who's back?
Beautiful Boys.
Beautiful Boys. Down 0-1 in this set. Getting rid of the penalty points, surviving the screen.
Although they're gonna have another one soon. Yeah, here it comes from Astro. The bombs. Oh my gosh, 10 seconds left. They're gonna have to start diving. John's already over towards the zone, but there's no use. Yeah, Astro really could not find a way in with the screen that time, and that's the screen. The screen's actual flaw is when
paint.
Yeah, you don't have any paint, and there's somebody who's already in your face, right? There's not a whole lot you can do.
So yes. By the way, if you're interested in the competitive Splatoon talk, we're still talking about that, but we're going to talk about our babies right now, or I guess specifically mine and some other people's, because we do have like a little parent server.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, it's adorable.
Because it's like it has nothing to do with Splatoon, but we're all the Splatoon from the Splatoon community, and we're just like, hey, my kid's doing this. Like, how's your kid doing? Or like, my kid's starting to like go through this. Did anybody else have like this kind of issue? So like, it's good to like just kind of share things, but every now and then, like the mindset of like, oh, what would happen if like Popgun Jr. and like Falco's kid and like Captain Bob and Sunflower and Greg's
oh,
kid.
Greg's
everybody's
kid.
having boys. Like, I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there hasn't been
That's
a single girl
funnier.
in this generation so far, which is something I Googled just to be, is there like something going on like in like human genetics or something to like, or is it just like, no, like girls are still on average born, or there's like more girls born on average than men or boys, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a very slight edge.
So it's just extremely bizarre that everybody's a boy on our Splatoon side of things so far. But no, like it's you know, as funny as it is, like that is as much of the jokes that I get of like, oh, is PJ going to be the next low ink person? Like, no, like like there was no, of course not. There's no like predestined anything.
Yeah,
I will tell you this though. In a full serious note, I am excited to when PJ is old enough to play video games, not because I want to play video games with him or like get him competing and stuff like that. I just want to see how his mind works. I want to I want to give him a video game, like an NES game, like the original Super Mario Brothers, and not explain anything and just see how he figures it out. Like, okay, well, how do I get across this gap? I don't know. Well, you got some buttons to work with. Why don't you experiment? Like, I just want to see how his mind would try to solve the problem of a game that doesn't just pop up and say, well, press this button in this situation, you'll be fine.
I always tell people that I would never be where I am right now in terms of my intellect, which I think is at least relatively above average, without video games. I legitimately think that it was such an insanely important learning tool in my development that's so incredibly underrated or not talked about, just because like there's so much taboo around games and parenting and everything. But it's really, really cool and helpful for these kids to go through something like that. To use these reasoning skills.
That taboo started when, I guess, like slightly before I was born in 1990. Nintendo was really like the one who bared a lot of that stereotype as well, and I feel like that's kind of dictated a lot of Nintendo's logic today, like how, because they have to go through the time period where it's like, okay, well, this is my child is angry and screaming because Battletoads is way too difficult, and it would piss off anybody who played that game. But like, okay, it's not my child's behavioral problem. It's the fact that they're playing the game and not doing their homework. Which, I mean, yeah, like you should still have priorities, and nobody should ever be sitting down and playing video games nonstop. When in the same vein, you shouldn't be playing baseball for hours on end. You shouldn't be playing, any sport for like overstimulation of any kind of one particular thing is bad. But yeah, like video games got that hard rep early on, and there is a lot of value. Like, look what these players are doing right now. Like, this is there was the kid who got literally broke Tetris. You remember that?
Yeah.
So the kid who played Tetris so much to the point to where the game crashed, and like in order to do that, the physical mental capabilities of what your brain has to do to pull all that off is like
astronomical.
It's like Einstein beyond that. Like there's no human that can really comprehend what's going on at that speed of the game. It's the same kind of sense what's going on right here. Like what these players are doing is insanely impressive. Like the amount of decisions they're actually making and just kind of just reacting to it at some point. Yeah, like they're communicating with each other. Like obviously there's some coordination going on right here, but Sorella's was in like a fighting situation. They just got to react and fight this brush and process all that information in real time. Like that's anything but lazy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And it's super cool, and it's so good and helpful to train kids' brains to see if they can do something like that. I also think that, speaking of the parents and everything, these kids are probably going to end up at least playing some video games just because their parents did, because their parents do, right? It's just unfortunately like a hereditary reality. Like I played basketball because my father played basketball and had a basketball hoop out front, and so I eventually messed around with it and played basketball for 13 years of my life very seriously. Like it's just what happens, and it'll be interesting. Obviously, you want them to make their own decisions on that. Like, we're never gonna pressure any of them to like engage in this community, especially if they don't want to, right?
Well, nobody's forced to be here.
Yeah.
I said about TOs all the time. Like, nobody's forcing you to be a TO, and you're not like financially tied down. Just like the person who is like, I wish they would talk about the game instead of podcasting. Like, nothing's forcing you to be here either. Like, you're just making active decisions to be here. So, thank you. By the way, what's going on right here? Are they okay? They're just getting wiped out because literally the Charger player just said, "No, you're not doing anything." But
I think Beautiful Boys wins this game, by the way.
Beautiful Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got. Oh wait, no, they're not. No, because they've done nothing in 5
They win
minutes.
this game.
Well, yeah, they've been doing great defense, but like, what's their offensive game plan? Lupples go kill them?
No, they have a vac and a whale and a brush, and then trip strike them out, and
they
game.
waited 5 minutes just to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, if they win this one right here, you're on to something. I don't think they're even going to get to the checkpoint because they need Lupples to, like, with their comp that they got right here. It's good defensively, and they shut down that corner on the right side. But it's not like they're gonna find. Yeah, like they're just, unless they're not. What?
They're gonna dunk this, and then they're gonna swing it left, and then all of a sudden it's gonna be a done game. Unless magic, okay.
It's a done
right,
game.
Fine, a good shark, fine.
It's a done game. There you go. Breakfast time. Up 2-1. This is a best of 5 set. Exciting gameplay coming out here.
That was 100% a winnable game too, from Beautiful Boys. Like
just
they
playing
had every opportunity.
Their comp was built for defense, and they did a great job of it, of guarding that right side. But they only scored like 7 points. It's not it's the transition from the defensive side to offense. Okay, well, how do we get Mar in a position to where we can activate that vacuum?
Yeah.
And the answer really just came down to, can Lupples do something? Because like our bucket can't really, because we don't really have a lot of paint. Our bucket can't really go up there that much, and we're always like a man down because we're stuck here playing defense. So they kept themselves in it. If that's what you want to talk about.
I just see a crazy message in auto mod right now, and I don't know if I want to let it through. He's on
Somebody very passionate about our weapon bans. I'm just gonna play it safe. Something we haven't been doing all day long. Clam Blitz, Scorch Gorge. Kraken is not banned in this. So you can use Kraken. By the way, nobody's using it that we've seen. To be honest, I was walking PJ around the neighborhood for the vast majority of the earlier commentary block, so I was just listening in. I wasn't actually watching. I don't think anyone's using Kraken for Clam Blitz anymore, even though it's still a decent option. I think the problem. Well, wait, no, is that the screen? It's the screen. Okay, so it's not the Kraken one. I think the problem comes down to the fact that Kraken's not on a weapon that most people like to use. And by that, I mean it's not on a shooter other than 96 Deco.
Yeah, like it can still get value, 1000%, but like, since there's no dedicated strategy around it now, it's kind of like you really have to be good with it. You really have to understand how it gets that value. And I think most players, again, it's kind of one of those things where like, oh, well, these players have to wake up to the reality that Kraken isn't just some cheese thing now.
Yeah. And
then maybe after that, we'll start to see more of it pick up. But like, unless there's a reason for it to get picked up, it probably won't. And again, this is again another thing of how metagames develop, right? Like, if people don't see a reason to start picking up Kraken, they're not going to do it, even if it might be strong anyways. Great bomb play from Respect.
So like there's specific players that are just like Clam Blitz, I'm going to use 96 Deco because of the Kraken walls. But you also got people like Nolan on Moonlight who, might have been one of the inventors of that strategy, even though like low ink basically invented it as soon as it came out. But Nolan will also use 96 deco on every single mode and every single map in the game, almost. So
Right.
it's like, okay, so it's just, there's still... I mean, you kind of brought this up earlier, too. It's like, why would they include a special that just makes you invincible and there's nothing you can do about it?
Yeah.
Which is, like, again, brings up my point of people would complain about Kraken a whole lot more if it was on a splash or a shot.
Oh my god.
Or
Can you
like something that could
imagine?
put down a lot of pain. Like, yeah,
Can
exactly.
you imagine being spammed Kraken and there is nothing that you can do about it? Like, at
But that's
least
what
in
Nolan-
Splatoon 1,
That-
you could tame them. At least you could dance around them and start shooting them so that they didn't have an opportunity. Fantastic flank by Luffles here, trying to get another clam in. John John's probably not going to let it happen. No, Mars did a good job, and now there's a two-pronged attack. They're able to get 3 more clams and going to be up with the cooler. But it looks like Breakfast Time is going to have a good, quick turnaround on this push.
And that's my point, is that if because everyone was so dead set on Kraken in general just being, well, let me just use it for Clan Blitz for that one thing. But then you got players like Nolan that are like, well, I know how to spam Kraken with this thing. And I know how to like make it broken on just about everything. Then that's when it becomes a little bit more than just something you can use for fun. You know, it's not really thinking outside the box. It's just not thinking like the way everybody's telling you you're supposed to be playing through the game. So there you go. What are we looking at here? We're looking at Mars dying. That's what.
3 minutes in, and only 1 push was scored by a flanking brush. This is high-level gameplay, by the way.
You know how many players in this lobby right now are excited that you just called them high level?
Okay, I was wondering, like, where these players are coming from. I'm assuming these are, like, +3 kind of, like, area.
I don't know. I don't keep up with the plus servers anymore. Mainly because I believe they come out every 3 months as opposed to every month now. So it's not like the monthly spectacle of who got voted in and voted out kind of thing. But it's also just like, okay, you're in +3, that doesn't mean you can't. Just because you're not in +3 doesn't mean you are not a +3 level player. You just don't have the votes from whoever. Is really all that means. So yeah, I guess it'd be fair to say if you were going to classify a skill level these players in, whether they're actually in it or not, this would be the +3 range. +3, +2-ish.
Gotcha.
What brings up the other point of like, okay, yeah, we're seeing Brush be effective here in Losers Finals. We're seeing them going up against Wiper Deco, Tri Nouveau, the Zuka Brella, Sorella Brella, a tent, I guess you should say. And it's working here, and we're seeing some great play come out of these players that know how to use these weapons. But does that necessarily mean in this same rule set, if they were to play Starburst or an Empty Win or a Jackpot, would it work? The answer is still going to be no, because skill level's that different. And that relieves the question is, what would in this kind of rule format, what would the top dogs do? That would, maybe they would just get mowed down by Mother, stop! I'm trying to talk here. Dang!
I don't think it matters too much. I think Mar this push, Mar just shut down like it was a PC that was overheating. I mean, that was crazy.
So, this beautiful boys win that one. We're going to a game 5, by the way. Ooh. Nicely done against that. But no, I'm genuinely basically I'm surprised we haven't seen more red pencil. We haven't seen a lot of bubbler either. Wasn't that supposed to be the next broken thing?
Yeah, bubbler was supposed to be this broken thing that shut down Zuka, and it's nowhere. That's another reason that I'm not really involved as much anymore. Is like,
you're not involved because bubbler's not used?
No, because I don't enjoy the people. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't enjoy a lot of the conversations that I have in this community anymore. A lot of them are so either short-sighted or blinded by people's preconceived notions of things, or sticking to their closely held beliefs just because they can, rather than actually engaging in enjoyable conversations. And it's like, I don't know. It's just not fun for me anymore.
Have you watched South Park? You familiar with South Park?
I mean, I'm familiar with South Park, yeah.
Okay, there's an episode, I guess about 10 years ago, where Stan, the one of the lead boys, one of the more like common sense people in the whole town, he like comes to the realization that he's getting older and he's starting to like hate everybody in his life. And like literally, I think I forget the concept, but I think it's like you know that it's South Park, so they overplay it. I think like he sees everybody as like either a turd or they're just like spewing crap, like literal crap out of their mouth whenever they talk, and that's all he hears anymore. So I think what you're experiencing is just getting older.
Yeah, it might be.
Starting to realize,
and that's okay. I've come to peace with that. That's why I'm trying to remove myself. Right? Is because like not only do I legitimately not enjoy having those conversations, but because of that, like because of the way that this community operates now, like I don't want to be in the public light being forced to have conversations with these people anymore. You know what I mean? Like as a TO, I have to have conversations with these people. As a commentator and someone who's a personality and wants to interact with the community, I have to interact with these people, right? That is part of what I do. I have to talk to these people and help us. You know what I mean?
If you want to be the best like TO commentator that you can be, or to like improve, then yes, like you need to have conversations with. I don't know if you need to talk direct. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I guess there's a lot of truth to that. And I mean, there's networking is something you need to do if you want, like aside from like commentary stuff, like in TOing, like networking is obviously, like you think about the Plus service, that's networking, right?
Well, you have to do TO networking.
When Destiny Troops was a low level team, like we would just recruit like straight up, just like put a post up, like, hey, we're looking for this. You know, these restrictions, if you can come and play, that's great. When we got banned from lowing, like we stopped recruiting. What we did was just look at oh, that player became a free agent. Let's get them.
Yeah.
This player just destroyed us. Like Haya, we did put out a recruitment post. I just saw Haya was available and we were looking to add a player, and I was just like, let's just get Haya. Like we don't need to. Like, I already know how good that player is. Like, let's just go get him. And that's basically what's going on here at this point, too. You don't really see... Well, why are none of these teams recruiting? They are. They just don't want to tell you about it because they're more interested in specific people through the networking that they've done already. And, you know, that's all... Like, these are two pickups. Like, the Beautiful Boys in Breakfast Time. I hate to break it to you. These are not actual teams.
Yeah, no.
But these players have all networked and met with each other, and now they're in Game 5 of this because of that.
That's okay. So this also brings me directly into another conversation that I really wanted to talk about. And we don't have to talk about it since this is Game 5, but do remind me about pickup culture versus team culture and branding, because I do want to focus on this game because I feel like that at least will give the players the respect they deserve. John has been playing Viper Deco this entire time, which I think is utterly fascinating because I feel like we haven't seen a missile weapon in years, but it's doing work. And I think people forget how strong missiles is. Like, there's a reason it was nerfed as much as it was, and that is because it is still a very potent thing to remove people.
Even it should have been nerfed years ago. So the nerf it got was... You can't just start building them up before the missiles land anymore. And use the paint that the missiles land with to also help build up your next set of missiles. Like so they just made it normal. They didn't nerf it. They just like finally fixed it after a game and a half. And also not putting it on a shooter that you can spam. It's great. Like in weapon bans, like people were calling for missiles to be banned as soon as Splatoon 3 was out. Like, you remember that? Like, that was something people were calling for. And the response from my time, and I still believe in this, is like, are you really banning just Flingza and GooTuber? Because that was the only thing you want. Like, who's banning GooTuber? But yeah, like, you put it on this weapon, and now you go back to the... Okay, so Pencil's not here. but their charge, like Mars is lighting us up. So like, how did we used to deal with chargers like back in the day? Well, you just missile spam it.
You just missile.
Yeah. And a lot of players didn't even know how to do that right because they would just missile the one player. Okay, yeah, like if you missile the charger by themselves, the charger doesn't care. Like, depending, like with Splatlings, you can just walk and charge and just dodge all the shots at the same time. But if you missile me and everybody else, then we all have to run away from each other. That's the real issue. And of course, you can just get shot in the back by a 10, and that'll completely shut things down.
This is very, very close for breakfast time. They want to get this one through. Sorella's really trying to make this thing happen. Not gonna be able to do it. Zuka, that's gonna be it. Amoura could not hit a shot that time. No clutch from the sniper there as 3 go down. It's only the smiley face from Breakfast Beautiful Boys that's gonna try and shut down Breakfast Club, and the trip strikes are on the tower, and Sorella's bonking people off. Spec can't land, and that's gonna be breakfast time. Clutching it up, clutching it out, and going on to grand finals. Let's go.
Again, I kind of reference the players I remember seeing in Low Ink and how much they've improved. That is John too, isn't? I haven't even talked about that. That John from UCSD, like back in the day.
Yeah.
Combined with Sorella, who just absolutely took over the game at the end right there. So no, I'm just going to use this tent that a lot of players probably aren't used to fighting against because they've been seeing like very similar things over and over. Now, tent has been kind of growing in popularity since it's been buffed enough times to where like you can actually play it online without it being like, what? Does this shield work or not? And maybe there'll still be some tent players who be like, no, it still doesn't work online technically. But still, it's good to see players climb the ladder, starting out in Low Ink and getting to this point right now, to where I'm not saying they're going to win this Proving Grounds, but they're still look pretty good in that game.
They're looking
5
very good, yeah.
against quality opponents too. The Beautiful Boys.
Beautiful boys. No, breakfast time might not get what they need to get in terms of trying to find a way through the Mickey Mouse team that we've been watching on the other side of the bracket, but they're showing their stuff. They're proving the grounds.
So Beautiful Boys took a game off of Mickey Mouse. They're the only team that's done that so far. And now they're going to be playing Breakfast Time, the 13th seed, according to Sindao points. Which, again, could be like, if you have like one person on your team who hasn't played Sindao, that can kind of sway things in one way or another.
Right.
So, again, like, you can go back and fix those things, but still, our number 1 seed living up to the hype in Breakfast Time. What part of the world would be eating breakfast right now? I can't even think. It's not... Japan breakfast time right now? I guess, like, yeah, the east, the far east. Okay.
I was about to say it's almost Japan.
Almost in Japan. Well, there you go. Which is Monday, by the way, which sucks for them, but for us that lives in the past, it's still pretty good.
But
right.
I do want to let me go back to the point that I wanted to make about
the pickup culture thing.
Years ago now, I really tried to drive home the whole, why are people making these silly names for their pickups? Why aren't we being consistent with our branding, etc., etc.? And now I'm looking like Buzzcut. Like, that's funny. That's so funny. Why are that's so funny. Why? That might be Phoenix. I don't know if it is or isn't. We were watching Fighting Strong earlier, and there was somebody named Goofy Goober. Like, that's so funny, right?
Now, for people who
I didn't even know who
up
that
on
was.
the context, what is the actual like tone right now? Are you being serious or are you being like?
No, I'm serious.
Sarcastic. Okay.
I'm no longer being sarcastic, and I think that's a change that I've had in my heart of hearts. And this is for another reason that I am not as involved as much anymore.
So my frustration with the goofy names or the alias rule stuff, which is more of an issue just to avoid smurfing than anything else,
Sure.
in like low level specifically. Like, it's not a like we don't care about aliases in Proving Grounds. Like, who cares? As long as it's not inappropriate. But my frustration was always like, who even know? Like, if nobody's going to remember Proving Grounds 31 for who wins this based off of the name alone, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's either going to be Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or Breakfast Time, and it frustrates me because a lot of times commentators and other events will try to hype it up like it is something like super crazy meaning. Like, it is like, okay, this is still meaningful to win this, but it's not like Hall of Fame. We're gonna look back at this and enshrine these two team names into this, but. And it's also like, okay, well, Buzzcut could have used like their real name, and like, oh, they could have gotten so many Twitter followers if they used their real name in this tournament. And it's like, wait, no, they wouldn't. And also, like, if the player doesn't care about the branding thing, why should I care? Like, it's not like Buzzcut is not. What frustrated me is that we used that logic, and I'm probably guilty of this too.
Yes.
Use that logic as like, well, this is why the game isn't advancing, because the people who would watch the Twitch chat aren't going to make the connection that Buzzcut is Phoenix. But really, the people who are watching this is like the same people who watch all this stuff anyways. And it's not like, oh, well, if Phoenix uses their actual name, our viewership is going to increase dramatically. Like, no, that's not the case at all. So why is that something I am personally stressing out about when, like, let's just let him be Buzzcut. Now, I don't think the name Buzzcut is funny, but I could think of a lot worse.
Yeah.
But it's harmless is what it is. We used to treat that as something that was harmful to the scene. It's really not.
No.
Like, who cares?
And like for a year, like especially when we had all those big lands, all the top teams were coming to, like at the beginning of Splatoon 3, like people did follow that very well. And did like Jared and Madness start getting really popular streams because of it? Sure. But like that's kind of it. Like there were only a few people that like really capitalized on it, and those are the people that were gonna capitalize on it anyways. Yeah, and are they doing well on YouTube and Twitch now? Sure. But we didn't see the scene all of a sudden expand because of that. Like, and this is not a knock on IPL, but like 138 viewers is where we were, what, three years ago?
Oh yeah, like this is, this isn't like something super breaking ground worthy or anything like that. We're doing for it. And to the point of like Madness and Jared, like, yes, they're really good at the video game, obviously. They also have personality and charisma to some extent. I mean, like, and are memeable and are okay with being memeable. You know, like, have you seen the little the Madness doing the little hands thing at Worlds? Like, I think of like Donnie from Wild Thornberries every time I see that clip.
It's so funny. And that's great, and that's awesome, and that might bring more people into our scene who aren't already involved, but like for the most part, it's just for the people who are already here.
Well,
right? And
my point being is that not everyone has charisma or is entertaining.
Right,
like you could be, just because you're really good at the video game doesn't mean like you're marketable in any way.
Yeah, like also crazy concept. Maybe these people don't want to be marketable. Maybe they just want to be good at the video game.
Exactly.
Right?
And maybe Breakfast Time doesn't want to play in this set much longer because Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is just ripping them to shreds right now. Yikes. Well, there we go.
Yeah, they definitely got surprise tooled that time. Do you get that reference?
What? I got cut off. What did you say?
Surprise tooled?
Surprise tooled? What is that?
It's like it's very hard to explain. It's a meme.
You already brought it up, and now there's probably
it's a surprise tool that will help us later.
Oh, okay. Is this a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, like the actual show? Okay, I didn't. And I've gone on this rant before. You guys will be excited because this is related to what we're watching because there's a team called Mickey Mouse. I've never understood the term Mickey Mouse as a like goofy kind of silly kind of thing, because that's what Mickey Mouse, like Mickey Mouse is kind of silly, but that's not what the original concept of the character Mickey Mouse is. This underdog hero who the situation that he's going up against is way bigger than what he is, but he still doesn't let that deter him from trying to achieve his goal kind of thing. And obviously it's like for kids, so there's like silly stuff that goes along with it. But Mickey Mouse as a character is not supposed to be like a silly, goofy kind of thing. It's supposed to be like an underdog story. But whereas we use, look at this little Mickey Mouse comp that they're using right here. What shouldn't it be something like a
goofy,
more like Looney Tunes, where it's just like nothing really makes sense. And there's no narrative. It's just people beating the crap out of each other.
I think that's kind of how it started, actually. I think it kind of got started as like, oh, look at this Looney Tunes comp.
Yeah.
Looney Tunes A comp, right? And then it got like twisted to Mickey Mouse. And also Mickey Mouse is kind of comedic, kind of silly, goofy, right? It's a kids. It's a lot of focus on like kids shows now and everything. And it's like it's dumb and it's weird and it's popular for no reason, and you know, like that's kind of the jest that they're putting forth.
By the way, is this the when I was thinking of what a comp would look like under this rule set that would be like the ideal thing, I'm thinking it's pretty much as close as you can get with the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse's comp right here.
Yeah.
You get the splatter shot, you got the in-zap, you got the gal, and then like, you know, maybe not the charger, but in the right hands it would work out. But no, I mean, like it would be like charger or e-liter or something like that.
But this is still, to me, more interesting than double shot pencil and insert fourth weapon here. Like
exactly, it's not supposed to be like a. Oh my gosh, are they just?
That was crazy.
Hey, they're. Either they think the stream is going to crash sometime soon, or they got a date tonight. Otherwise, they're just speed running grands right now, trying to keep this in. But yeah, like rules for weapon bans should not be, as it looks like this push is finally coming to an end. Just dump it out to the side. Just live to fight another day. Weapon ban rules should not be trying to force a certain meta to be created, or something. It's just like, what is the most broken thing that like clearly just doesn't fit the term of Splatoon? Well, who determines what fits the term of Splatoon? Obviously me, because I'm the TO for this tournament. You can answer that for your own tournament that you guys run. But like it's just there's just two things we're banning here: pencil and just limiting your Zuka, and that's it. Less is more when it comes to bans. Again, you're not trying to create something interesting. You're just trying to address what the problems are.
Yes.
And that's all that is. So yeah,
because at the end of the day, like players, and this is something I want to actually have an in-depth discussion about, since this match is probably going to be the same thing for the next 3 minutes anyways. It's not like we're trying to create like the perfect Splatoon. Right? It's not like we're trying to redesign the game. It's that we're trying to, like, prevent issues that players are currently having that are very understandable. Oh my god. Great Zuka. That was such a patient
Okay,
Zuka.
Wait, stop. Did that Zuka just curve through Wilbur on the like vacuum and just erase two people?
No, I think the vacuum like just ended.
Okay.
I think it like literally ended the second that he got it off. That was so crazy.
That is case in point why you shouldn't be allowed to have two of those things. You just instantly fire it in a 1v4 situation and keep the game going. Now, is it going to change?
Everything?
Like, yeah, I think you're right here. Mickey Mouse is just going to Looney Tune their way to a dub right. And by the way, they got the least Mickey Mouse comp possible. I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at here. But yeah, it's not like, ooh, look, they got a roller, or they're using the GooTuber or something like that. No, they're just using what they think is the best strategy, and I think that would be it for what they're doing right here.
And I think Cactus put it a great way. So reading chat went out right. Trying to make changes that let players enjoy the game, because I can tell you right now, I played through double zap. I played through double K shot. I played through the triple tri slot trip. I played through all of this
Double
BS that we had to deal with earlier on. Also, shouts to Breakfast Time for getting that checkpoint and putting up some resistance. I don't think it's gonna get much further than that, but
Hey, Rainmaker.
Anything can happen in Rainmaker.
You get that tent in the right spot, you land a Zuka shot, chase away from some missiles. Long way to go, though. Please continue. Stop.
But it's about, because all of those metas, I at least stomached and played through. I can't stomach this. And I played through double Stingray, when you can shoot it from spawn. And I at least like understood that, like, all right, well, these players have to like aim their Stingrays at me at the very least, and I can dodge that, and we can have at least some back and forth there. This feels so much worse than anything else I've ever played. And for no other, I want these bans for no other reason than I want the game to continue, because otherwise I legitimately wonder if it will continue on in the same fervor that we've had. Because truly, it's nigh unplayable.
Fishy, don't you die to that soda. Let's do one to game 3 here. Thank you. Mickey Mouse up 2-0 in the set. I think that the idea is that if the weapon bans weren't in place, like Pencil's really the only like weapon that's actually banned here, you would see probably Fishy be on Pencil, and I wonder, or Lexi or whoever, and I wonder if those players would be like, yes, I get to use Pencil, or it's like, well, this is just what is best and optimal, so I'm gonna do it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know several Pencil players are. I know several Pencil players have that mindset of like, I hate this, but I have to do this because, well, okay, you don't have to do it, but you can't deny that Pencil is going to give you an incredible chance at winning versus anything else.
Like, I don't like Zuka because it feels so random and so insane. Like, it doesn't feel fun to play with. It doesn't feel fun to play against. And it's about restricting that. It's no other reason, right? Like, it doesn't matter. And I think, again, this goes back to the whole idea of like, oh, well, players should want to have branding and to do X, Y, and Z, right? Like, it's the same thinking here. Oh, well, we can't do this because, the Nintendo tournaments aren't going to do that. Well, why are we getting to Nintendo tournaments? This is about us. This is about our players.
They banned Splatfest T.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing.
Oh, well, how are we gonna unban things when the time comes?
Okay, so that argument,
do it.
That argument I buy into, not as a deterrent for banning things, but I think you acknowledge is like, okay, well, where's the line going to be? Like the Kraken thing is a very obvious line that you can put down, and obviously, okay, they fixed it, easy unban. Like, okay, at what point do you decide Pencil is not broken anymore? Is a fair thought to have, but my counter argument is if that is the reason, that shouldn't be the deterrent to be like, well, we shouldn't ban that. We should just go through this because of that.
And I honestly feel like a lot of the arguments that are being made against bans are being done so in really bad faith. And that is just from what I've seen from the conversations that I've had, is that they're not being done in a way that is truly, honestly productive. It's just to further along their ideals and their own understanding of how things should be, of this perfect world that we can create for Splatoon, right? And I really think that it just comes down to the players don't want this. They want to not have to feel this way every time they boot up the game, and that should supersede everything else.
Well, so I get in that mindset with Link a lot of the times too. It's like, well, this is just how we've always done things, with like this specific format or like this specific ruling or something like that. And when we've refused to like adapt to like circumstances or patches or something like that or whatever, that's when we've always gotten into trouble. It's just like, so like, yeah, like that narrative it fits into the conversation we're having, but it also extends to like a bunch of other things as well. Just being like, well, this is how we've always done things. And there's probably like several other instances as well. You know, me being in my mid-30s would look at whatever like players are doing today and go, well, that's not how it was when I was a kid. So you know, I mean, we've grown up hearing that from our grandparents as well. So like, I'm sorry, I understand some of that, but I also kind of feel like, okay, it's, like change is difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna like just sit here and not acknowledge that, but there's also just like, can we get you to acknowledge that like there are problems that need to be addressed somehow? I think that could be better.
And I really do think that it's all coming together. This is a great game, by the way. Breakfast Time is really putting on all the stops to try and make this tournament go on a little bit longer.
How much of Robo Ramen have you seen?
I've seen it enough to at least understand how it's supposed to be played and whatnot.
It's Gobi Arena, but better.
Yeah, it
So
really is.
Instead of like Gobi just being down, the zone being down in the pit, you can just kind of like dip down into it and get back up. And it's even got that little spot you can put a cheeky sprinkler on.
Yeah.
I guess you can do that in Mako Mart too. Are we done here? Is this it? They got one more chance to get a push. You got the
Astro?
Zuka Astro getting the trade.
Oh, that's so rough. Yeah, Sorel really needed to clutch up there. Mickey shut that down. Yeah, that's gonna be
GG. Are we gonna get a drip pick? That's the only, and we are kind of in zone next to the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse wins Proving Grounds number 31, dropping only one game the entire time. We dropped more stream sets on Twitch today than we did than games that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse dropped. So
yeah, we straight up like lost internet connection more times than Mickey Mouse Club has
across
lost games.
two streamers. Like it wasn't
Across two
anyone's
streamers.
fault. It was just, you know, shout outs to Rice and Ink Fair for getting us through this day. Just a really bizarre day. But there you go. Proving Grounds number 31. The first tournament we've run with weapon bans, and it goes to a team like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. So there you go. Nicely done to them.
And I'm really curious. I hope that you all get a lot of feedback about this tournament because I'm really, really very curious to see what happens.
Yes.
And to complete my point, because I want to try and cut this off and send everyone on their merry way. The point that I'm trying to make is that I think a lot of the same concept with the whole, oh, we shouldn't have aliases, oh, we should be like trying to stick with Nintendo's rule sets, we shouldn't be doing this, is often omitting because we want the game to be a proper esport. Right? And I think that understanding, that omission is something that we all need to face and confront and be like, all right, well, do we want to try and be an esport anymore? Because it hasn't worked. Like, we had that opportunity when Splatoon 3 released, when we had all these, the new information coming in, when it was big in the algorithms for that 1 or 2 or 3 months when Squid School was popping off. We all had that chance. And it didn't work. And we really need to acknowledge that is the esports industry even worth being something to aspire towards? Because as someone who worked in it for 2 years, I don't think that all the glamour and glitz is worth it. Period. It's something that is unbelievably marred with toxicity, with corporatism, and just trying to go for as many bucks as possible and people that are greedy. It's not worth trying to aspire towards. We need to look after our players and our players first, because we're a community of players, not anything else. Nobody's making money from this. And I think that's what I really, really tried to push some of those narratives, is because I saw this as, I want to make money off of this. I want to try and make this a career. But in doing so, I did a lot of things that were greedy and capitalistic, and really just not good for the community in the long run.
Well, you're now about to be, in a couple of weeks, be running the biggest Splatoon LAN ever. That might get broken. That record might get broken in a couple of months afterwards, probably actually. But still, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And
yeah,
I enjoyed having you on today.
I appreciate it.
This was probably the least amount I actually talked about the tournament that was going on, and for some odd reason, it's also the most relaxed I've felt at the end of a tournament, commentary wise. So maybe there's something playing. It probably helped that Mickey Mouse just curb stomped everybody.
Yeah, that's
where
true.
it came down to. Okay. So
luckily, there's not a whole lot of excitement in the actual tournament.
I'm putting right now in the announcement channel the feedback form along with the congratulations to these teams for winning Proving Grounds number 31. If you have thoughts, even if you didn't play in this tournament and you want to give feedback about the weapon bans in general, do that there. We want to get as much information as we can. We're not sitting here saying that the rules you saw today are what everyone should be doing. We're not sitting here saying that there should even be weapon bans in the game right now because of the new patching. Like, we don't know. The point is, you just saw a tournament with weapon bans and the world didn't end. So just keep that in mind for how this game evolves down the road. And we'll go from there. With that being said, big shout out to both Rice, who started off the stream, and Inky, who closed it out.
Hyperclutch.
Everybody involved with IPL, and for yous in chat, who you might have entered this chat being an idiot in chat, you have now left more enlightened because you somehow stuck it through listening to us this entire time. Well, thank you. We'll see you. I guess the next tournament is SOS this upcoming Wednesday. That's the next time we'll be live. We'll see you then. Have a good night. Congratulations to Mickey Mouse Fan Club. Clubhouse, your Proving Grounds 31 champ.